Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Weekly Games Chat. I'm your host, Chris, as always, joined by a very recovery voicey Sean.
What are you talking about, man? I feel good.
You sound completely clear.
I'm top notch, bro.
And John.
I've been sick between last week and now this week, so I sound fine.
I have not been sick. Well, except for Sunday. Thanks, Geoff. Oh, hey, welcome to the show, Geoff.
Oh, hey guys. Hello, everybody.
Jeff, can you clarify what he means by sick?
He's been sick for a long time. He's asked me not to talk about it.
That's funny.
That's accurate.
Last time you were sick was 2011. I was living with you at the time.
You remember. It was bad.
It was.
No, you were sick recently.
All of us got it.
When Chris gets sick, he acts like a dog. He goes and hides in the woods somewhere. You don't see him for like 3 or 4 days.
That's so good. That's a good joke.
So when he eventually dies,
I can't laugh.
when he dies 40 years down the road, he's just going to go off in the woods and die. Nobody's going to know.
That's it.
There was the adjustment.
Yeah, that's fair. That's good.
But anyways,
That's good.
it was a good week, wasn't it?
Yeah,
For us three, right?
Yeah.
We have a guy that we've been all gaming with in some way, except for John here at this table. This is why I love our current culture and the onlineness, right?
I tried to game with him for Mario Tennis Aces.
good point, John.
Did you?
Good
Did you really?
point.
Yes.
I did not know that. But
I knew that, John.
Yeah, thank you.
a guy that we've been playing in various games, some of us, like you and like, what, Tate, Matt?
Yeah, like old school, like Modern Warfare, maybe
Like
3
10 years?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. And for the rest of us,
About 2 years.
yeah.
About 2 years, man.
Hey,
3 years.
Hey, I picked up Spider-Man with him,
Spider-Man.
and I actually stayed with him. You didn't.
Not the
Prior
guest.
to that,
We're talking about the guest.
I know. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But what are we talking about the guest?
I did it in a
Why are you
week.
making this awkward?
I don't know.
I was on a trajectory.
Oh,
Were you?
resume.
It's ruined now.
Resume
I'm gonna stop.
trajectory.
It's ruined. No,
You can do it.
This is terrible. But anyways, yeah, he lives in Colorado, and he came down, drove 28 hours to come visit us.
Well, he lives in Virginia
Yeah.
/ Colorado. He's got some military. And he was on his path from Colorado to Virginia. So he said, I'll swing by and meet our large group of friends.
Yeah. And,
Stayed with me.
Where was I?
Well, you're not part of that.
There you go.
That's what I thought.
I don't mean to.
I now know, and that's what I thought.
Well, I mean, I can't.
Suspicion confirmed.
I'm about to cough. Yeah, there's.
Just let it happen, Chris.
It was a really funny thing, you know, when you got somebody you've never personally met coming to stay with you for, you know,
Yeah, stayed
a
with
weekend.
you.
Yeah.
Stayed with Geoff.
It's awkward. Sean's done it before in reverse, right?
I've driven to an actual. I drove from, let's say, the Atlanta area. Well, you guys kind of know where we're from. Where we're from, all the way to New York City. New York City. And how did we know to do that? I don't know.
Whenever anyone says it, that's what comes out of my mouth.
Yeah, didn't know that. I only knew him from many hours played, video games. And you're like, yeah, I'll just come stay with you. And that's kind of what he did.
Yeah. Sean told me, beforehand, he's like, it's going to be surreal.
Yeah.
I think that's the word you used.
Yeah.
And it was. It's awkward, for the first time when he shows up at the door and you're like, hey, you talk to this guy every night. But the first time you see him face to face, it's like, hey.
He looks like a stranger.
Yeah.
Even though you know so much about him because through just random like video game chatting and talking out night in, night out, hour by hour.
Sure.
But this guy shows up. You may have seen his Facebook picture, whatever. Yeah. But then when they're in front of you, it's like, wait a minute, you're real.
And the awkward thing is,
you exist.
You got friends and such that are, you're just going to let our family that's like, you're just going to let somebody you've never met just come stay at your house. And it's like, well, what you got to remember is I play games with this guy every night for the past 2 years. I hear his wife in the background. I hear his kids. The guy's legit.
Yeah, for sure.
Can I interject something? I want you to know that 2 minutes ago I caught on. So there we go. I'm back.
Hey, John.
Huh?
Thought you guys were talking about Geoff specifically.
That's why. That's why I stopped.
We've been gaming with this guy,
No.
except John, which was technically true.
Yeah.
So I apologize.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome to the podcast.
You must have missed some key moments.
I was focused on Chris adjusting the knobs.
Oh,
See what happens?
And by knobs,
See what happens?
and by knobs, you mean?
But yeah, he came down, and I think it was funny when we were in the lead up to it. Just like, look, it's not going to be that big of a deal. We're just going to go lunch and have a few things. I'm just looking at him like,
That's not
you
what
know,
happens, Geoff.
in my mind, I'm like, maybe he's right. But I was like, in my mind, I have a feeling how this is going to go. And sure enough, I feel like I nailed it. We had a freaking grand old time Saturday night.
Yeah, I didn't expect a whole lot of what was the word? We didn't party.
No, we didn't go like, to be fair, we did not go to like the soldier level of, I've had that party, and that's hardcore.
He mentioned, going out while he's here and having a couple beers just with the guys and
Sure.
chatting and such. And Chris was like,
Yeah.
this is going to
Chris
hurt
knew what that
Sunday.
meant. Yeah.
Yeah, I already know this is
And
where this is
I
going.
told him, come on, man, it's not going to be that big a deal. We're not really going to go that hard in the paint, but
Turns out.
sure enough,
Yeah, our
Many
kick,
years. We were up to like 2, weren't we?
I don't remember.
Yeah. I just remember waking up.
I was in the midst of being sick, or I traveled in and I had lunch with him, and I was like, yeah, I want to go drink with you guys. I'm gonna go home for a minute. Well, my minute turned into the rest of the night because I took medicine, and I woke up to a kick feed of, you could just see the night unfold.
Yes.
I mean, it was great. There were just pictures of brews
Props.
and cigars.
I have to say that props to Slade.
Yeah, he was the one. I was like, wow.
It is, I've been there. It is very hard to be, maybe if 1 or 2 people are drunk, okay, you can do that if you're the sober guy. But being around, 4 or 5 of us throughout, like, consistently drinking, that's a...
Yeah, he was a trooper. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
that's true. But he was there. He had fun.
John feels left out. He's
No.
he's lighting lighters. And,
Well, I guess the other big thing was the Super Bowl. There you go. We can transition to that, right? That was our big
Patriots
thing.
won.
I'll still be left out, but that's okay.
Are you wanted the Rams to win?
I didn't watch.
Apparently, you and a lot of other people.
Yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, one, if you watched it, you said it sucked, and a lot of people didn't. And then you got to see Adam Levine's nipples. So there was that.
Yeah, that was weird.
I'm a big college football guy. I'm not a big NFL guy, and I
What?
can tell you, yeah, you know that.
Yeah, I know that was.
I feel like anybody that didn't get to watch it, you didn't miss a lot.
Let me ask a question about that then. I hear that it was boring. Right?
It was.
So isn't a game that keeps holding each other from scoring, isn't that an exciting game?
I like them. Yeah.
If you score constantly and you just you running up the score on each other, doesn't that mean your defense just sucks?
There's a reason they say offense sells tickets, defense wins championships.
Right.
Offense sells tickets because it's exciting and it's what people want to see. Defense, not so much, but it's what wins championships.
Right.
As I guess you could say was the case in this Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Hence, it was boring and nobody wanted to
Let's put it
watch
this way. If you asked most people this year what was the best game, and probably actually arguably one of the best games of the last 10 years, it's the Rams in Kansas City, like that happened midway through the season. And that's because they put up like 90 points. And you just consistently wondered, like, what are they going to do? How are they going to answer this? This game was literally just sitting there and watching one quarterback be the most ineffective thing ever. And another dude just tried to be like, I'm 41 and I got one wide receiver and every now and then I hit him. And that was it for 4 hours. It was pretty bad.
Yeah. Even the
90 points between the two teams playing, or 90 points
Yes.
one person?
No, 90.
one team.
It was, or it might have been more than that. It might have been, I thought it was like the highest scoring game ever. It's definitely the highest scoring Monday night
one
football.
team had 50 and one team had 49 or
Yeah.
something like that. It was.
But this game,
I don't remember the score, but that's what it was. A lot of points.
what was it? Like, this is the longest ever it took for a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. The only record that was really made was the longest punt
Yeah.
in Super Bowl history. And it beat the other one by a yard. Because it bounced and rolled.
Now, I will say, if Brandon Cooks had caught that one end zone pass
Who's Brandon Cooks, Chris?
for the Rams, he had a shot. It was like the one time they had to throw to the end zone where they had a shot.
Yeah.
If he had made that and it was a tie game, fourth quarter, 4 minutes left, Tom Brady with the ball, then it becomes a little bit more. Maybe then people would be like, okay, it sucked, but then it got good.
I think the NFL fans in general, if you're not a New England fan, you just have New England fatigue.
Yeah,
As fans of, Alabama in the college football world,
for sure.
we obviously get a lot of that where people are like just sick and tired of seeing Alabama do good. And that happens when a team does good in any given sport, but Tom Brady won and he's got 6 now. And
The hard part was then there wasn't any good commercials like that were.
they've been on decline, man.
Yeah, that were like so memorable that everyone was talking about the next day, and there wasn't a great hat. It was probably the worst outside maybe Black Eyed Peas. I think most people would say halftime wise.
The halftime show caught some slack, but I personally, I am a Maroon 5 fan. I like Maroon 5. I love Big Boy from Outkast. I'm a Southern hip hop guy. I like Big Boy.
He was the best part.
I love that. We got it on tape, guys.
But as I'm watching Adam Levine's performance, I'm going, okay, he's losing his clothes slowly. If those pants come off, I'm just going to change the channel.
Yeah, you actually put that out there too. Well, I think that's kind of how he does concerts anyway. I think he's known for eventually being bearskin.
He's famous for his shirtless appearance.
Yeah. The thing, I think if they would have let Maroon 5 just kind of do their thing, I think it would have been better. Out of the 2 acts that came in, Travis Scott and, actually 3 because SpongeBob did a little spot too.
Yeah.
But when Big Boy came, it just felt cleaner than when Travis Scott came to me. I don't know why. I don't know why. I just, as a viewer watching it, but
They haven't figured out how to do hip hop on that stage yet. Like,
Missy Elliott did fine.
yeah, that's true. I forgot she was on there. She was fine, but again, it was packaged with Katy Perry, so it was kind of a spectacle, right?
Yeah.
This wasn't that. I'm
wondering
trying to think there's very few hip hop people that have that spectacle. Like Kanye before he went crazy probably would have been the king of it, right? Because you and I have both been there. Like that dude will.
He puts on a show.
Yeah, it's not just like him rapping. It is a performance. It's kind of like Lady Gaga or Katy Perry, all of them. I don't know, but it was just it. You could tell that they were lacking in talent this year. I don't know what they could have done to make it better, but I thought it was going to be the same way with Coldplay a couple of years ago, but they had Bruno Mars and Beyonce come in, so you were like, okay, here's a break from all those ballads.
Well, being because it was in Atlanta,
Yeah,
you're about to say this, Geoff. The Big Boy spot was off the chain.
that was the best part.
Yeah,
Now they had Andre.
Andre 3000.
They didn't have the money for Andre.
No one has the money for Andre.
Do you know who these people are, John?
They actually years ago when
I know who Andre is. I don't know who Big Boy is.
He's the other part of Outkast.
Oh, is he?
Yeah.
So he's not the important part of Outkast.
Yeah, well, it's subjective.
he's the better hip hop guy, but Andre's the creative force. I think most people would say
And I'm sorry. What is hip hop?
it's rhyming of
See,
words.
John, hip hop is.
Well, maybe next year they'll wise up and just hire Weird Al Yankovic.
That would be awesome.
That would be terrible.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
No.
It would be
I cannot stand Weird Al.
Polka at the Super Bowl.
Dude, I would. No. Boo.
Amish Paradise.
I think the most exciting part that for me was at the end, the lady trying to interview Tom
right?
Brady.
Right?
My heart was beating. I was like, something's fixing to happen here.
Her name's like Tracy something, right?
I don't know.
I don't remember. But she's short. And she's the guy. She's the one that's going to come up and say, "Hey, Tom, you just did it." Well, I've never seen this before ever. Tom had to say congrats to everybody. Everybody's around Tom Brady. She's literally 4 foot tall amongst like 7 foot people. The mics are hot, so you're hearing them say things. No cuss words or anything. I didn't hear, but it's almost like it was a surreal experience to see her finally. Tracy Wolfson, I think that's her name. Eventually get to Tom Brady. That in itself, like Geoff said, was probably one of the best parts of the whole viewing.
Like there's a security guard or something that's right there with him, and you hear him a couple of times. Are you okay?
You okay? You good?
Okay?
Get back! Are you okay? And it's like, this is fantastic.
Yeah.
fun fact. They actually tried to get Outkast after Hey Ya blew up, and they turned them down. So maybe that's why it will never happen.
Who tried to get Outkast?
The Super Bowl did.
This year?
No, this was way back in 2005 when that came out. So
I don't know Wikipedia.
I'm sorry.
I mean, unless I'm in my car listening to XM, I don't know what year the songs came out, Chris.
Well, if you want to know Super Bowl trivia, Geoff can tell you how I do it. That
Your dog is dying.
I know, but I had to put her up.
Jeez.
She just this many people. It's hard to do it. Yeah, it's hard. So hard.
Is that what she said? Is that a good one?
Let's pick it up. We sound like NPR. It might be my fault.
We always sound like NPR.
For the most part.
I don't like you sick.
I don't like you not sick.
It's not sick.
It's not sick.
He just like sticks his finger. Now you're sick.
You got me sick.
You think so?
Yeah.
I'm patient zero.
Uh-oh.
Your name is Virus Boy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
I pulled a Sean on him
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Doing what?
this afternoon. He sends me a message. He's like, "Hey, so you still good? Come by for the podcast?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm good. But I don't know where you live." It's like, do what? He said Chris's. I was like, "Oh, what did you say? You're getting old."
Are you getting old, or are you freaking kidding me?
You don't know where he lives?
I actually don't.
We need to change that.
I think I know in the vicinity, but I couldn't come to your house if I wanted to.
You know the vicinity?
Sort of.
I gotta move.
He's got to move.
I gotta get out of the vicinity.
Yeah, there's that.
I have nothing else.
Well, we had a mediocre Super Bowl.
Correct.
Jeff's here. I'm sick.
He's lobbing that up to mediocre. Did you hear that?
Yeah.
Mediocrity.
All right.
No, what I'm saying, in my head, I'm going over the things we've covered, right?
Oh, okay, got it.
Are we watching anything? Anything come out movie-wise? Netflix?
There's that new show on Netflix, but I haven't watched it. The
really?
Russian doll or whatever it is. Everyone's talking about it on
What? Reduction
It's got
doll?
the
No, Russian
doll. Yeah, with she. I can't remember her name, but she's on Orange is the New Black is her big thing. You've watched that, right?
Yeah.
The one with the blonde hair that's kind of like a recovering addict who's kind of more in your face, attitude.
Yeah.
That got sent to Max at one point.
Yeah.
Yeah, her.
Not Piper.
No, not Piper.
That's all I know.
But it's her, and I keep reading about it everywhere. Like everyone's saying that's the show to watch right now. So that'll probably be the next thing I pull up. Penny is whining her little heart out.
Well, going back to the Super Bowl real quick, the commercials, there was talk that there was going to be a Star Wars trailer at one point. That didn't show up. You did get the Toy Story trailer. I don't know if you saw it towards the very end. And what they lead off with, that new Infinity War trailer, which look, the tone of that trailer, if you haven't seen it, and I know you didn't.
I couldn't find it.
Dude, the tone of that trailer, I'm like, I cannot wait for this movie. It's going to be.
Everyone kept commenting that it looked like they had edited out some people from shots. So, and to their point, like someone's like, that's not the first time they've done stuff like that in trailers.
Yeah, they added the Hulk at the end of the Avengers trailer last year, and he wasn't in the shot when the movie
was it? Whenever you see in the trailers with Thanos, and you seen like where he's wearing the gauntlet from last year, like it always only had 2 stones, even though like there are shots obviously at the very end of that movie where we know he has much more.
You don't have any viruses, bro.
Yes,
Good. Your results are clear.
but that looked good. Actually, I thought of all the commercials, the only one that won me over, and it's a little bit divisive because if you're not a fan of the show, it didn't do anything. I think for you was the Bud Light
Game of Thrones.
Game of Thrones. That was perfect.
That was dope. when the night came up, I was like, that's that guy.
Yeah.
And then the whole
They
thing
do a
happened.
dilly thing.
No.
My favorite commercial was the one where all the players are in the ballroom or whatever.
And it turned into a fumble
That
fest.
was just hilarious.
That was
that
epic.
actually got me laughing.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
The big discussion for me, I watched it at the CBC with my parents and all that, and the big controversy of the night was Budweiser talking about how they don't have corn syrup in their beer, and everyone like at the bar is like, it wouldn't matter if you do. You have rice syrup. Who cares?
Well, the Super Bowl did have the lowest ratings ever.
In the last 10 years. Yeah.
Ever in the last 10 years.
Okay.
I'm guessing the
Never
lowest
mind.
raters are from way back.
My follow up to that was: do you assume that that's because of the Saints and the burned fans?
No.
I mean, the cover of a morning New Orleans paper on Monday was a blank front page that said Super Bowl. What Super Bowl?
Oh, yeah, because they're salty.
Yeah.
I think it's more likely
They're not
one.
salty. They're Cajun.
Well, it's still salt.
That's very salty.
Yeah, it's still salt. But I'd have to say it's probably because, one, people are tired of the Patriots, right? And two, LA's fan base really isn't that big yet.
Well, they're a great team.
Yeah.
Up and coming, if you will. But when you think of Super Bowls that are epic,
Yeah.
you don't think Rams Patriots.
No.
You just don't. I don't know how to explain it. Even in today's game, obviously, where the Rams are really good and the Patriots at that point had won 5 in a row, it's just that doesn't generate hype.
If next year the Super Bowl was the Steelers versus the Cowboys, I guarantee you they would get 50 million people to watch that. Yeah. There's no question in my mind. If whenever the Cowboys make it to another Super Bowl, it will skyrocket because people. It's just like
Skyrocket.
Rocket. It's kind of like when it's like when the Yankees or the Red Sox are in the World Series, or I'm trying to think of a good
Dodgers.
Boston when it was Boston and Lakers back in 2010 in the NBA Finals. Those kinds of things. Like there's just certain markets and certain teams that they have big pulls versus.
Yeah, they do.
Like I would say the best thing that could happen to college football rating wise for their championship, right, would be like if it was Ohio State versus either USC or Notre Dame or something like that, right? Where it's these huge bases of people from various parts of the company or country.
He said base.
But anyways,
yeah, you got it, man.
I'm good.
Yeah,
you good?
I mean,
you gonna cough?
I'm 50-50, bro.
You want me to just turn your mic off for the next part?
I mean, it's on you, man, Mr. Producer Guy.
Huh? I produced it. Anyways, you guys want to do this topic?
Sure.
Why not?
You?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. All right. I guess we'll do a topic. You know the best part about that? We're still recording.
Yeah, I know. Couldn't hold it no more.
I thought
Here's where Sean dies.
Anyways.
He's done that where you think, I was fixing to say a cuss word and then do that. You got to really tighten that up.
All right, well, let's go to the topic.
Topic time.
The topic is some game that came out 20 years ago.
Keeping our theme up for the year, guys.
Right?
This game looks awesome. I can't wait for you guys to talk about it, huh?
But really, it's Resident Evil 2.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I want to make sure you guys didn't get caught by that one guy who follows you everywhere. The X guy. What's his name?
Tyrant.
His name's Tyrant X.
He was Mr. X, otherwise known as the Tyrant.
Yeah.
He's a pain in the you know what, guys.
He is.
Did you play it too?
I just watched a lot of it, John.
Oh, okay.
You would have got excited about it. I'm like, heck yeah, I did. I platinumed it.
Oh, man.
I did watch a streamer. Apparently one of the challenges is you turn into different types of cheese. And you
Tofu.
Or tofu
mode.
And you run through, and it's basically a speed run as with tofu.
Is that in this one?
Yeah.
It is. You have to unlock it. I don't know
It's
exactly
amazing.
how to...
Your little tofu guys
Miguel the
bobbling.
raccoons.
Because that was in the
No.
original, correct? The tofu challenge?
I can't remember.
I didn't play
Possibly.
the original. I only played the first game in the series. I played 3. I didn't play 2.
Oh.
See, I didn't play it either.
that
I had
one.
read that somewhere. And I just want to make sure that I didn't overlook it.
You didn't.
Okay.
Probably fine. So here we go. Let's do it, guys.
Can I tell you that compared to how it looked in the original in 1998?
You sound excited.
On the blocky PlayStation. Looks good. It's definitely a little bit better looking than the first one.
The zombie Dobermans scare me.
Yeah, they were always scary. The dogs in those games, they do not mess around.
Well, I mean, I look back on E3 last year, PlayStation's Sony press conference. To me, and no disrespect to the press conferences, it was one of the few highlights of that press conference. I'm looking at this trailer of this,
I liked it.
of this guy running through these dark warehouse looking rooms, and I'm going, what the heck is this game? Mm-hmm. I had no idea what they were getting at. And then this zombie shows up and it sees Resident Evil, and then 2, and the crowd goes wild. I mean, we'd just gotten. I think it's the of the 3 or of the before 4 came out.
Yeah,
it was the
the first
quintessential title, which redefined, as they say, survival horror.
Yeah.
Or invented the genre of survival horror.
Well, the first Resident Evil, when you played it, you could tell like it was you'd never played anything like that, right? But
Tell us about what happened when the scariest moment in that.
when the dogs come bursting through the windows,
And how did you react?
I scared. I screamed.
He popped.
Yeah. I think that's what I said. Yeah. But there had never been anything like that. Like, yeah, there have been games based in horror before on NES and SNES and Sega Genesis.
Die!
But, like, this was the first time where it actually seemed like it could work, right? Sure. And so that was the testing of the concept. And then, two, like most things, was the taking a concept and perfecting it out and actually making it work the best it can on a system. Mm-hmm. So when that came out, you were just like, the growth from the first one, the fact there are two characters now you're playing as, the fact that you have all these different areas that you're moving through. It was a big deal back in 19. Like, to me, if you were to ask me, like, were the two biggest things that PlayStation had from the PS1 era, it's Final Fantasy VII, and then it's the first two Resident Evil games. I don't think there's been, those have easily endured the test of time to the fact where both are being remade now, right? So, I played that. I played these two. I didn't play 3, and I played some of 4. But this was one I was like, you know what? I saw the reviews, and I was like, I will go back.
Looks
and
like I'm going to have to play it.
I was like, let me go back and see if it still holds up the way it did for me back then, because I was a huge fan of the first game. Mm-hmm. So
I played 4. That was
Did you?
GameCube, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
That's kind of like
PlayStation 2, GameCube. Yeah. Some people say the definitive version is on the Wii.
Really?
Yeah.
Those people are John.
Nope. I didn't play it on the Wii.
Yeah. But you still say
I played it on GameCube.
But yeah. So it's Geoff. So you haven't played this one before? Is that what you said?
Have not.
You said you had never played this one?
I didn't. I missed this title.
Shame. And you guys played as Leon first, right?
I did.
And I played as Claire first. I did not. Well, Claire's the only one I've played as because, unfortunately, work and there's another thing I had to start doing for next week's show to get it done.
What are you talking about?
The topic for next week.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I was hoping to play some more last night, and then
you're gonna try to get it done.
It's not that long in the game. Like they're not like Final Fantasy games. Marlene's son already beat it.
Penny disagreed with that.
Yeah, right. He's like, he's right. I'm gonna have to go see this. So you two talk.
Okay.
Well, in this thing, since we started, I'm letting you guys give kind of a background on it because I want to give some of my thoughts on the game, but where they fit in. I don't want to just jump in the wrong place with.
Well, I would say in a game like this, it's a remaster, if you will. Just talk about just go ahead and talk, and that'll feed off of.
Well, it's not just a remaster. Not quarreling with your point, but it's a full out remake. Yeah. I mean, it is remade from the ground up. It is a completely, obviously, different perspective. Thank God, behind the shoulder, third person. But if you look at it frame by frame, the original game and this, you could see that they're holding to the same virtual atmosphere, the same areas, the same characters for the most part. They deviate a little bit, but this game, you would never guess that this was a rehash of a title that's 20 years old. It looks, and it probably due. This was the same engine used for Resident Evil 7, which Geoff, I know you played. Mm-hmm. Sean, you played a little bit too.
And I've rebought it. I don't know if Geoff knows that yet. I have it, and I want to play it in VR, and I want you to be there, Geoff.
I want everybody to know how much of a hard time I've given you.
Yeah, they know. They know.
Because
he took out billboards.
Finished
Geoff, Santa brought it to me.
No, he did not.
He did.
But this engine that they've created for Resident Evil going forward is, some people might be hesitant to describe it as beautiful, but I can't think of a better engine that portrays dark, shadowy wetness.
The guy eating the hamburger in the beginning.
Say what?
The guy eating the hamburger.
Yes.
That was great. But so
he made eating the hamburger look gory, like it was a zombie eating a hamburger, even though it was a regular person eating a hamburger. The sounds he was making,
kind of like how Ryan Lee for the show eats hamburgers.
Exactly, to the T.
So my thoughts on the game kind of are skewed a little. And by what I mean by that is I did not play the first iteration of this game.
Right.
And I kind of have to give you a little background on how I came in to start this game. I've spent the last since what was okay. You guys probably don't want to talk about this, but Red Dead came out October, November-ish.
Yeah,
I have spent the past since that game come out nose deep in Red Dead.
You can say pelvic deep,
Richard deep.
Yeah. That Chris got through it, in easy mode. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding with you.
It's a joke. It's a joke. We love you,
Chris got through it a lot quicker than I did, but I made it a point. I wanted to investigate every nook and cranny of that game.
You want to savor it.
That's right. That's why it's taking me so long to finish it. Which again, you guys talked about on the show last week. I'm going to bring it up one more time, John. You gotta. You gotta. And yes, you start here. You don't have to play the previous one. Start.
John
here.
is terrible.
Okay.
Don't do it.
Anyway,
It's the worst.
Let's go back to the actual
it
episode.
actually, John.
I'm conflicted.
You'll like it, John.
Yeah.
There's too many squirrels for me in that game.
Squirrel.
Like there's just too many different things to go do.
When are you going to finish Breath of the Wild?
I'm really close. I was going to tell you about that.
When are you going to start Horizon Zero Dawn?
Oh, hey guys, how you doing?
so I come straight out of Red Dead. I've finished it, and I'm like, okay, it's time to start me up a new game. I think Chris was like, so are you going to pick up Resident Evil? I think both of you guys asked me. And
I
was
just
like,
figured you were.
I was like,
Yeah, because you and I talked a lot about Resident Evil 7. You and I like the Evil Within series.
right.
I just knew you had sort of an affection for survival horror, me.
Right. So that's the second piece for me is the fact that I played Resident Evil 7, loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's up there on my list of games because I love the horror genre.
Yeah.
I put myself in the environment when I play a horror game. I shut the door. I turn off the lights. I mean, I want to sweat. I want to jump. I want to be scared. Resident Evil 7 did that for me. It was beautiful. And I know Resident Evil 2 was built on the same engine, correct?
Yeah.
Or this remake.
Correct.
So I kind of went into this game with a lot of high expectations. Again, coming off of Red Dead. And to me, Red Dead made its way into my top, I don't know, maybe 5 games of all time. I loved this game. So anyway, I'm coming off of that. I'm also coming into this game with with Resident Evil 7, not too, stale on my mind.
Yeah, like 2 years.
Yeah,
Right.
it's crazy. It was only less than 2 years ago.
So when I fired up, I overall, I've had a good time with this game.
Right.
Okay. There's parts in the game where my son Holden, who's 10, he likes a lot of time. He's a big gamer himself, but a lot of times he likes to watch me play because, it takes a stress off of him and he can just watch me go through a game. He sits to the side and he watches me play. You mentioned the Tyrant. So probably not long after the Tyrant starts his chase of you, Holden's sitting there and he and I together like, just screaming and yelling like, oh my God, here he comes. That was nerve wracking.
Can you expand on the Tyrant a little bit
Like what do you mean?
Explain it a little bit, just
He's
in
a
case.
dude in a big jacket that chases you nonstop and you cannot kill.
Thank you,
Why?
Chris.
But why?
Why not?
Do you want it from the story who the Tyrant
No,
is?
I don't want to derail your point, but the game mechanic of the Tyrant,
Well, let me put
so
it this
people
way.
can understand that tenseness.
I give it a little bit of a relation. If you played Resident Evil 7, the old man,
yeah,
he's the same. He plays the same. What's the word I'm looking for?
role
Or function in the game. He's a beast who you really don't even want to encounter because you really can't beat him.
Yeah.
He's there to push you. He's there to push you to areas of the game or keep you moving. That's his role.
yeah,
Yeah, but from what I remember from the guy in 7, the Tyrant guy, you can almost kind of dodge and keep going. And then if you go to certain rooms, he won't follow you anymore.
There's a couple save spots from Mr. X.
Yeah, I was watching that on IGN. They were showing I clicked on it and they were like, yeah, if you're tired of this guy, just go here.
Well, you've got a couple of options. You can pull out your guns and whatever ammo you got, which is limited, and you can just nail this guy and you'll stun him.
Yeah.
You'll buy yourself a few minutes to get away, but the payoff is you lose most of your ammo and you question yourself, do I really want to do that to this guy? So then you find yourself avoiding. Well, I've only got to go here, but Tyrant's chasing me from there, so I'm going to go all the way around to the second floor and back
Exactly.
around to these stairs. And he keeps you moving. from what I remember of Resident Evil 7, that was kind of how the older man did. If I remember right, you could stun him in the same way, but he played the same role, the same functions, to keep you moving, to keep you on your toes, because at any minute he may come through a door. And there were several times I would lose him in the house. Mm-hmm. And then a few minutes later, I go to open a door, and he was right in my face, and he's
right
punching me. You know, so that's
Scary.
That's the point of the tyrant.
I'm trying to think. Okay, because it's different for Leon and Claire. How early does he show up on Leon?
It is virtually the same function that triggers his first appearance.
Okay, but does that just come sooner or something? Because like I felt like I was in the game for probably about 4 hours of gameplay time before he finally.
Second run's quicker.
Yeah.
Second run's a little quicker.
Okay. Well, I mean, like I don't know. Like I'm just saying, like I felt like I had enough time to go explore and get a lot of the stuff I needed to before he showed up in my.
You
like
do.
When
You have a little. You have as much time as you want. You have to trigger a sequence.
Yeah, like with mine, it was okay. I need to do this because I'm trying to get out of here. And then afterwards, like probably the next 30 minutes I spent doing laps while I got the final pieces to get to the place I needed to get the last component.
Something I found was funny is at the end of the game, I'm not spoiling anything here. At the end of the game, when you finally complete, as I did, Leon's story, it basically throws a clipboard down and gives you a rating.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't know this going into it. And your rating is based on several factors, but one of which is how many times you saved.
Yeah.
I'm saving like a beast. You know, every opportunity I'm saving. And sometimes I'll save, go right there to the storage container, swap out a few things,
and save again. That's right.
So I ended up with a C rating. I don't know how that compares to you guys, but...
I ended up a C rating through my Leon playthrough, and then when I finished the second run, I got a C again. But now I've started the game again as Claire, and I'm at the point where I'm in like sort of the second area of the game, and I've saved twice since I've played.
So just like the main police station, or you mean like when you're in the East Wing as opposed to the West Wing?
I've passed the basement, and I'm into the...
Oh, you're talking about you're in the parking garage?
Yeah, I'm in the garage.
Okay.
So I'm because I'm conscious. I've been reading a lot about rewards and benefits that the game gives you for getting those different letter grades.
Yeah.
I'm trying to. I don't think it's going to happen, but I'm trying to finish the game under 3.5 hours.
That's pretty hard to do.
I don't know if it's and I'm trying to deliberately not save. If you do that, you get a handgun with infinite ammo going forward to play. If you finish the game hardcore mode under 2.5 hours, you get an infinite ammo automatic weapon. Automatic weapon.
Now, when you say finish the game, do you mean one character's run through or all runs?
Both runs.
Okay.
Jeez.
2 runs. So.
Because if I had read correctly, you can do like I did Leon's. Then you come back and you do, is it Claire? Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can do Claire's run, and Claire's second run mimics, to the most part, Leon's. Yeah. And then the third time, if I read right, the third time you run through with Claire, and you're going to get more from her perspective, not so much a remake of Leon's run. Does that sound?
It's okay. Yeah, that's close enough. It's really hard to. It's so simple, but it is really hard to explain and really hard to understand.
It's like they each have their own little certain areas that the other does not experience or could go to. Like for instance, the keys in the game, right? I think the big difference is that Claire gets the heart key at some point. Right. So she has a couple of rooms she can go into, and Leon gets the club key, and he has a couple of rooms that he can go to that she can't. She goes to a couple of different places, whereas Leon goes straight to a different other place instead. So like there's detours and as you find out things.
Yeah, I would say that it is completely, when you talk about a game, you talk about a game's replayability. Is it worth coming back to it? To me, this game is highly replayable. I mean, I'm on my third run. When you switch characters, so your first in order to get the true ending of this game, you have to play. You have to play first and second run. Now that's different than saying first run or starting a game and then just starting a brand new game. Mm-hmm. When you're finished with that new game, when you finish with that first run, your options in the menu changes. Your options say new game, or further down it says second run, and that second run automatically starts you with the other character that you didn't necessarily choose.
Correct.
Right. So that second run gives you, I would say, between 35 and 45% brand new material. Mm-hmm. And I think that is completely worth it.
For sure.
There are a lot of logical things that logically don't make sense. You'll have to go through certain areas and do the exact same puzzles that Leon did before. But because the game works so well and does each story so effectively, it doesn't break the immersion, if that makes sense. Mm. Because you're doing just enough stuff to make it fresh and unique. And I don't begrudge IGN for this, but to show how confusing this is from the jump, Damon Hatfield reviewed this game for IGN, gave it an 8.8, and criticized the game for going through the story as the next character and there being virtually no difference, because he didn't understand that there was a second run option that took you through the story. So when he realized that, they upgraded the score to a 9.0. Mm. So that was a bit of a controversial thing because people wanted to make it a controversial thing. But Damon Hatfield's an honest guy, honest mistake, no big deal.
Hearing you talk about what you liked about this game is another reason I think that you would greatly enjoy Red Dead. But I won't go there.
Did you show up here just to sell Red Dead to me?
No.
The topic is John plays Red Dead 2.
No, but when I went into this game, I went into it from the stance of I didn't read up on it. I didn't look at anything telling me what I'm getting into. It's a Resident Evil game. Let's see what happens.
Sure.
Right. So as I start up the game, this is where I would catch slack for my review of the game, because when I went into it, I feel like a lot of people kind of looked at this game. Okay. For example, I know what score for the most part I give this game overall. And out of curiosity, I go to Metacritic to see what the average scores are in comparison to mine. Mm-hmm. Well, on Metacritic, the game gets a lot of good review, a lot of good scores. I'm seeing 99s, 100s, and such.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I'm bouncing everywhere, but to make a point. So when I started the game, I'm going into it with no really concept of what I'm getting into. I just want to play. Well, one of the concepts, like Chris said, was that Leon's not going to get the heart key.
Yeah.
That's for Claire to get. Well, I didn't know that. A lot of time I'm searching and searching and searching.
Yeah. Why
can't I find the key to get in this particular door? Well, I didn't know I wasn't going to find it because it's not meant for Leon to find.
Sure.
I mentioned to you, John, in conversation earlier in the week, this game, if you've never played a Resident Evil game, because, Resident Evil 7 was like this, and I think most of them is that Resident Evil is gonna send you all over the place several times. You're going to go to the West Wing to get something that you're going to use in the East Wing. So to get something that you can use in the West Wing, to get something that, and it's bouncing you all over the place.
It's a 3D world like Metroidvania in a way.
I was trying to get around using that word, but yes, that's exactly what I mean. And for me, the horror wasn't there. Like in Resident Evil 7 or some others. Now, again, I feel like, and all the positive reviews I've read on Metacritic are all, it's like a high percentage of them are comparing Resident Evil 2 from back in the day to this one, and that's why it's getting its praise, is because of the leaps and bounds it's made. For me, I didn't go into it with the comparison of today versus then. I'm just looking at it like, if there was not an older version of Resident Evil,
how would you view it?
If this particular game came out today and you bought it to play it, how would you review it, not comparing it to the previous rendition? For me, it wasn't the horror I was expecting. The Tyrant gave me a run. The zombies were kind of non-existent.
Yeah,
you can run around them. There weren't really jump scares for the most part.
Yeah, there's a couple, but that's about it.
That's it. In the game felt tedious to me. Now I know most people's opinions differ from mine. You said it yourself. You enjoyed playing the game. For me, it was just a lot of work.
Yeah.
So when I did finish, I'm going to say the last 20% of the game, I kind of enjoyed playing because it kind of sped up.
Once you get out you get out of the police station, I think that game gets a lot better.
I felt like
personally.
I was hoping through my playthrough that this would happen, and it turns out the way I felt it did was that I don't know what you call them, the whoever directed the game or whatever said, okay, now that you're out of the police station, we made you do a lot of back and forth work. Let's speed it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's speed it up some. And that's where, when I met Ada, that's where things really kind of started to pick up. And then towards the very end, I enjoyed it.
Okay.
But that's, I wanted to explain why my opinion or my review of this game is not as high level as what I see as most people's.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you on a lot of points. As far as, and I think I admitted this to you, particularly when we were playing in the beginning. I'm like, are you finding this scarier than Resident Evil 7? And I say 100% no.
No.
That's not a knock on the game, the fact that it's not scary. I think it's scary.
Right.
In the way that the Evil Within was scary. Nothing terrified me in that game. It made me uncomfortable in places. The idea of walking down, particularly areas of the police station, walking down certain halls and hearing things, or seeing a monster on the wall and it not attacking you, but it gives you the tension of what's out there that you don't see, you hear. I mean, I would recommend anybody like Resident Evil 7 play this in headphones.
Right.
So you can see, because sound effects is so key to survival horror.
It's a good point. I'm sitting in my room, and I'm playing again. I turn the lights out, shut the door, all this good stuff. Yeah. I'm sitting there, and maybe a point comes where I get a text or something, and so for a moment I don't even pause the game. I just look down at my phone. And I'm not looking at the screen, and just standing in that room where there's nothing in this particular. I mean, in the game room.
Right.
Standing there, I know there's nothing in the room with me, but I'm looking at my phone and that room will start to creak or I'll start to hear footsteps down the hall and I'm going, whoa, that sounds really good.
But you have to admit the coolest sound effect is being in a safe room and trying to detect where, because you can hear Mr. X through the entire police station.
Yes.
It's just like, because and I never really got a hang of where he was, because I'd say, okay, I think I'm safe, and I bust out the door. He's waiting for me right outside. Right. So, I mean, it's those types of jump scares that I got. But I think one of the things, to your point, Resident Evil 7 is, I think the first person perspective gives you a little bit, to me, it limits your field of view. Unlike a third person, because you're looking behind someone and you have this field of view that is more than the actual person that you're controlling. But if you're in first person mode, it's like you can't see as much, and that's absolutely terrifying. I mean, that Resident Evil 7 was more terrifying for so many reasons, because it reminded me of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the old crazy hillbilly family. That guy walking up to you and saying, check this out, boy, and shooting himself in the face because he knows he's going to show up again later.
That's the
best
spoilers.
The best way I could describe this to someone, Chris, former co-host of the show, Chris Hatchett, I think does it very well. Right? He is someone, all four of us grew up in the generation of Star Wars, right? We saw Star Wars for the most part in the 80s or the early 90s. Those were a gold standard, and we hold those original 3 movies in very high regard because of that, right? Because they were ahead of their time and everything. Well, someone like Chris didn't see those movies then. He's a little bit younger than us. He saw his first experience with Star Wars was the prequels. He's a huge fan of those movies. And he actually waited many years after the fact of those movies to finally sit down and watch the original 3. And he was like, I'm not impressed. And it's not that they're bad or anything, right? It's just that you have something like that come out. What does the rest of the industry do? They innovate off of it. They try to copy it. They tried to make it better and make it more exciting and more enticing. So you go a good amount, 10, 20 years, everyone's done something like Star Wars now, and some have done it even a little bit more exciting, taking other elements from pieces of the modern era. So it's kind of the same way here. When you played Resident Evil 2 back in the day, there was nothing else like that, right? But now you think we live in a world where, as you said, like you guys playing Resident Evil 7 2 years ago, there's tons of horror games coming out every single year that are trying to push the envelope, especially in VR now. And even like for a game like this, the one that feels to me personally, I think, John, you would agree with this, as the most spiritual successor in terms of horror games is probably Dead Space. And 100%. I think Dead Space is a much more terrifying game right now, heads up than Resident Evil 2 is to someone who has experienced both those games for the first time, right? So it's just harder to do. It's really hard to say we're going to do something that is a tribute to the original game, and not make it something it's not, which is obviously something they chose to do. As we said, like they could have decided to change things out and say, hey, you're not going to go have Leon go back through the police station. He's going to go somewhere completely new and different. But that's not the way that game was done, right? So they bow to those things. And I think that was something else they did here. They didn't make zombies or something they weren't back when they made this game. Yeah, they just kind of stagger around. There's only a couple of them. It's not like all of a sudden they're Walking Dead zombies or even like something like 28 Days Later zombies. They're just there. They're a thing you have to deal with.
Let me add, this is to you further John's point, and I'm going to further both, is that I love the zombie genre, but it is, I think, very difficult today to make zombies scary anymore.
Agreed.
Zombies are commonplace. Back in the original, maybe that wasn't so much true, but today, I mean, Holden, my son's 10, zombie's just a zombie. It's something you see on TV, on Walking Dead and everything else. It's just a zombie. It used
to be just Night of the Living Dead, right? And that was it.
To further your point, John, when you mentioned it, Resident Evil 7 didn't really have zombies. Right. Resident Evil 7 focused on the creepy factor.
Right.
I'm talking about creepy. Just the family of these hillbillies and just once you're locked in their house and the outside world is shut off, what they're capable of and what you got to go through. And it was just, and when you put those headphones on in Resident Evil 7 and you just get totally involved in it, man, you're sweating, from some of the stuff you experience. Bounce back to Resident Evil 2. We're talking about, it's zombies that are almost ineffective zombies, almost like in The Walking Dead. They're not effective anymore. They're not aggressive zombies.
As far as effective in the fact that they scare you, yeah, I agree with that. But the sound effects that they make when you're not expecting it, the fact that there's you hear someone rattling on a door, and you walk past it, and all of a sudden you're not expecting that the zombie busts through that door. The first time that happens, I mean, it's and seeing this slow, menacing figure approach you, and in most zombies,
he's the best part.
It's not just a double tap like Zombieland. He says double tap. In this game, you're putting 5 bullets in the head, and they're a foot from you, and they're not going down. That's the tension to me of this game. It's not that you're terrified per se because of jump scares. Anybody can do jump scares, and jump scares can be typically cheap. It's the tension of, and it's the balance, and it's very hard to do, of all of a sudden thinking you're this BA because you've got 45 rounds of ammunition in your handgun, and 2 minutes later it's gone because you were accosted by 3 zombies.
See, I guess the thing, though, with the zombies in this game, I never go to kill. I just let them be for the most part, and I kind of only use my pistol to get around them. That was it, like for 3/4 of the game. And then like when they actually throw you in boss fights, right, that's when I take out the grenade launcher and the flame rounds and the acid rounds and do what I need to. And the thing is with those, I found that if you are only using them for those extreme circumstances, then pretty much whatever you need to take down will be 90% of the way dead by the time you even then take a pistol out to shoot it. Right?
That's well and fine for Claire, but not to spoil anything. But you don't get that. You get
a shotgun with Leon, right?
You get completely different. I preferred Claire's weapons
Much
by
more.
far.
Yeah.
Because I breezed through the game faster.
Yeah.
I don't know. She seemed to be a little bit overpowered in that regard.
Right.
But,
To what you said, John, you run
or
up
I
on
just
a-
had played the game.
You run up on a zombie as Leon, you put 2 or 3 bullets in his head, and maybe he goes down. You know, in the typical zombie genre, a bullet to the head
Is
kills
how
a
you kill
zombie.
him.
In
Exactly.
this game, it's 2 or 3. You might knock him down. You turn a corner, come back, he's up again, and you're like, I just killed the guy, but I didn't kill him.
You think
Maybe
one's,
that's
you
the
think one's
difference.
dead.
But I did run across a note further in the game that had been left for me that says the only way you're going to kill him is with flame.
Yeah. Fire is their biggest thing.
And then, I mean, further in the game, I find the flamethrower.
Oh, I don't think. Yeah.
And it's at that point that note is accurate. You put that flamethrower to them, not just for a minute, and it says literally in the note, burn them to a crisp.
Oh, that's talking about the garden biome area.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right. That's about near the point where you find the flamethrower, but
I'm almost wondering, like, you guys are saying, like, with Leon, it only takes like 2 or 3 shots before they'll go down the first time. Claire, that seems to be her weakness, is that pistol is a lot less effective, I've noticed, than they're like, I was like reading a guide trying to go through this one area, and they're like, yeah, just pop 4 shots into him, he'll go down. I'm like, 5, 6. Sometimes it takes a lot, even if you're
it would frequently take that many times with Leon's weapon.
Okay, yeah, I didn't know. I was just like, I wonder if that's the balancing act, right? Yeah. Because maybe she just doesn't have as good of a pistol. I don't know. Or do you guys get high capacity ammo with the gun early on?
you get an extended mag. To your point, when I started my second playthrough as Claire, I did notice 2 things. One, you kind of progress through that story at a little faster pace. Maybe it's because experience, you've learned what to do here and here.
Yeah, you know where you're going.
But at the same time, it seems like where it took me an hour or 2 to get to one point with Leon, with Claire, I'm hitting that point pretty quick. Yeah. And on the other hand, to your point, I noticed with Claire, you've got a revolver. And it's like pop, pop, pop. And
it's a pain.
Now I got to clink, clink, clink,
Yes.
clink, clink. And it's taking its time.
You didn't get a 6-shooter?
I think that was the revolver I got. So I got one pistol that's kind of a little tiny pistol, and then I got a revolver.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I think I get like, you have the revolver for most of it starting out, and then eventually, if you do certain things, you can get a quick mag type gun, like still shooting only 9mm, but like, it's a lot easier.
For me, that replayability that you enjoy, for me on this one, if it were, I start up the second run as Claire, and I've got a completely different angle through the whole side of Claire's story, I could see myself wanting to see what that looked like. But as soon as I started, and for the most part, Claire's run looks like Leon's, that's for me, it's like, this is really, do I really want to do all this again? Start that whole back and forth. And that's where I enjoyed the run with Leon. It was a good story, or it was a fun time, but it's at this point, I feel I'm done with this. I'm ready to play something new,
You're ready to move on.
I'm kind of ready to move on.
3.
Okay.
Right?
That's just me, and I know that my opinion.
You still in the police station with Claire?
Yes.
I bet if you gave it 20 more minutes, you'd go, whoa.
In the second play, do you still go?
I read. Apparently, she goes to an orphanage.
Yes.
And
I don't know about that.
Well,
I can verify this.
So I could see where
I actually didn't like that
that would
part.
really kind of give me a different perspective. But having to go through that police station again, it's just like.
I will say, Jeff, you and I agree a lot on this game and certain things. Like, look, I appreciate what it was for its time, and I think it, like, Resident Evil 2 is one of the most important horror games ever made. If you ask me, like, just historically speaking, I have
Most definitely.
no problem saying that. But on the other hand, playing this game, I'm kind of with you. Like, the police station part for me was just a lot of running around trying to avoid zombies and then just find the things that I need to move on. It was more so when I got out of the police station and I went to the orphanage, the parking deck, to the orphanage, and then to the underground part, that I was like, okay, this is where this game is really good. Because I mean, I know the story, but I sure as heck don't remember it. You know, I only played it on PlayStation, so I was like 15 when that game came out. Mm-hmm. You know, it's been a while. So, you know, I've had fun. I've enjoyed it. I think it's definitely a good send up to that game. Like, if that was your goal, like, was to come out here and say, we're not trying to make this something it isn't. You know, we are just trying to make Resident Evil 2 on a modern engine and let it be what it is. And you know, really the big change is what, like the fact that now you actually have a free camera with the right stick. That's probably the biggest change in this game in terms of how the first one played. I think it's a solid remake, but at the same time you go like, man, we also live in this modern age. So it's kind of like, there are certain things that, like, if a new game was coming out now, you're like, well, this would have been better. Like, I've played games where there's been a light element and there's things around you in the dark. That's Alan Wake. You know, I've played that with Dead Space, you know, walking around a ghost ship, wondering what the hell's about to kill me right in space.
So you're saying survival horror is done? That's what it sounds like.
I'm saying you're
taking all the tropes of survival horror and saying,
yeah, but I'm saying like the things that are in here that certain people are like, oh my God, this is great. I'm like, well, yeah, but they're not the first ones to do it like this. Like, it was the first thing back then, but I'm like, there are other people who do this and do it sometimes even better than what this remake is. And that's fine. That's their choice to do it this way. I think more importantly to me, I'm kind of like, this is a good way to say, here's a good way to catalog history, because I think there's a bunch of people that are younger that would never go back to play a PlayStation 1 game, right? They would never, because how bad they look in comparison today. So it's cool that they've updated it and given people an idea, at least, even if it's not a full picture idea of what that game was originally like. If that makes sense. Like, okay. it like for someone, if Sean wanted, or if you wanted to show Holden what that game was like, what a horror game back in 1998 was outside the graphics, you would have an idea by playing this, because it is very dedicated to how it is. It doesn't make it something it's not. It's not like all of a sudden they're like, these zombies are now crazy and there's 4 times as many because we have this much more capacity with our engine. It's like, no. This was what, you know what? That room right there, it originally had 2 zombies, one here and one here. That's how this game is. There's a zombie here. There's a zombie there. They get up. They're going to chase you the way they are, and you just maneuver around and solve as you need to, because that's how the game is. So I appreciate that to some degree.
If I were asked, Geoff, should I invest $60 into this game and play it?
Yeah.
I pull out a checklist. That's how kind of torn I am. That checklist would be, did you play the original? Do you want to see the difference in comparison? Do you want to be scared? Do you like the Metroidvania style game? And based on those answers is whether I know if all of those are yes, or, well, if you want to be scared, I'm probably going to say probably not. If you like the Metroidvania style, I'm probably going to say yes. If you played the original, I'm going to say yes. I enjoyed the game. But if you're fresh into Resident Evil, you're probably from a younger generation, you expect more out of a horror game.
Yeah.
And, you know, I know, like Sean originally said about Red Dead, he didn't want to, there's too many squirrels, there's too many little, you know, branches of things to do. If that's not your cup of tea, then, you know, maybe you don't want to play it. I'm not persuading anyone one way or the other in this game. I just think it depends on your personal preferences.
Well, last year, I probably would have accepted and maybe even said that the Shadow of the Colossus. Mm-hmm. If somebody would ask me, what's your definition of the perfect remaster? I say Shadow of the Colossus. If you want to ask me now how to remake a game in 2019, I point to Resident Evil 2.
I would agree with you.
It is 100% masterclass about not only how you rehash a game and show you how it would look in from a game from 1998, which I with no disrespect, I reject that comparison completely. This game doesn't just rework its environments. It does so much more. It reworks how the inventory works. It reworks how you save the game. It reworks things from the ground up. And it's like Ocarina of Time 3D to me.
Wait, what do you mean by save the game? Because for me, like
you had typewriter strips. Mm-hmm. You could only had limited saves.
Was that the case?
Yeah,
I read that.
I couldn't remember. Oh.
And
I just remember I remember typewriters. That's what I remember.
Apparently, if you wanted to save, you've got to find this.
Well, typewriters are the staple of how you save in Resident Evil. So, it's like Ocarina of Time 3D to me is Ocarina of Time, not the Nintendo 64 version.
Mm-hmm. Gears of War Ultimate Edition is Gears of War.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
This game is now Resident Evil 2. To me, it has replaced a game that was great with a great game. We can go forward now and put that aside. We have this now. And that's how I see this game. Did it terrify me like Resident Evil 7 did? No. But Resident Evil 7 only terrified me for the first half of the game. You might admit that the second half of that game sort of got a little bit misguided and lost its way because it walked away from that house and it turned into Resident Evil.
I agree.
So once
I'm outside the house on that. Is that good?
From beginning to
that's
end,
why you
it's
quit.
a great game.
I'm at like some sort of like mobile home thing.
You're still good.
I'm still good.
You're still at the property.
Oh man,
it's about to get real.
Oh man,
I just want to know what environment you're playing.
You're about to get skis.
I'm playing in the Sanders.
I know where you play, but I want to know how you play.
Oh, that's a thing, right?
You got lights on. It's Sunday afternoon, 1:00. You got.
For the record, I don't
Lionel
care
Richie
about
playing.
any of that. You know what I do? I fire up the game when I can. And I play. That's how I play these games.
Well, good, Chris.
Because
you're heartless.
But Resident Evil 7 was a shot in the arm for the series. Resident Evil 2 was a shot in the arm for the genre. Because while it doesn't terrify you, it hits all those bullet points that a survival horror game is supposed to be, in my opinion, in 2019.
Is it Richard time?
It is.
Is it getting there?
It is
it's probably Richard time. Yeah,
I like it.
I can go first on that.
John, I gotta y'all sitting here and I didn't play the game. You guys, that was really good for me.
Yeah,
I hope the listeners, y'all just spoke. Geoff, top notch, legit.
Is this where we hug or save
I can't stand up right now because I got a thing.
It's where we tell you to get out.
Yeah,
no.
I did not. I mean, to your credit, I did not anticipate y'all's perspective. I really didn't.
What'd you think we were going to be like? Oh my god!
I thought you would have said,
"Meh."
I fundamentally enjoyed it from beginning to end.
It's fun.
It was a fun run.
I would give this game, Richard wise, I would give this game an 8. And I don't have that. I mean, to me, that's great. So I definitely would say
it's not top 5.
I'll say this: is it something that? Again, kind of what you said, Geoff, like for $60, if it weren't for the podcast and the fact it did get such a high reception and I had played it originally, would I have gotten it? I don't know. For $60, I don't know if this would be something that, unless you were someone who just truly loves these games.
What do you mean $60?
This game is $60.
I know, but you're pointing it out like it almost, and I don't know, I'm not starting something.
Yeah.
You've said it a couple times like you could make an argument that it shouldn't be $60.
Well, I'm saying, yeah, like for me personally, I don't know if I'd be rushing to buy this for $60 if it weren't for the podcast. Like, kind of like, again, Shadow of the Colossus was $40, I believe, when it came out. That, to me, I didn't have a problem paying for $40, and I probably would be more in that vein for this. I've been like, man, I will keep saying
frame the same game.
Yeah, it's a completely new engine, though. New,
But you're not getting a new. I'm not downplaying that.
No,
but you're not getting a new experience. I would argue you're getting a new experience here.
I guess I don't know. Maybe it's been so long since I played it. I don't remember all the differences or anything like that. So me, it's more of like, is it an enjoyable experience? I was like, yeah, I think it is a good send up to what Resident Evil 2 is. I agree that, look, in terms of remakes, this is definitely what you want. Someone who's approaching it with heart, and you can tell like they're not just putting this out to make some money. Like, there's so many things I see remastered or whatever remake, and you just go, you play it and you're just like, this is just a port. This is all like when BioShock came out, that whole entire trilogy, as much as I love those games, those aren't remasters, really. They're just ports of the PC to the consoles, and that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. This is obviously someone taking an engine and saying, like, can we recreate this thing that we love? And I'm sure Final Fantasy VII will probably be the same way to some extent. And I thought Shadow of the Colossus was that way when Halo was remade, 1 and 2. I thought those were too. So those are the kinds of ones I want. So I will give them that kind of credit. Like, this is a game that probably got lost a little bit to the sands of times compared to other Resident Evils. Like, I think everyone just talks about 4 now the most. That's the one that's the most popular. So it's cool to see that they said, we're bringing this back and we're going to do it for this generation. But for me, it's not something that I'm like, man, this blew me away, but it is a solid remake.
What you got, Geoff?
I want to stress again that I know that my opinion doesn't match the majority. I know that, but I'm okay with that because
I'm okay with it too.
I want to give an honest opinion, and I think in today's world, looking at reviews of games or movies or whatever else, I think this is my own personal opinion. I feel like scores get skewed, and what I mean is, as an analyst by profession, I feel like in today's world, what you end up ranking a game is on a scale of really 7 to 10. And anything less than a 7, you're basically saying the game is garbage, don't touch it. And I don't believe it that way. If you look at a scale of 1 to 10, and I say, and I'm not saying this is my review of this game, so just hypothetically speaking or generally speaking, if I say a game is a 5, well, in today's standards, that's garbage. It's no good. And to me, a 5 means it's not horrible, a 1, and it's not the greatest thing ever.
A 5.
A 10.
Yeah,
No,
I hear it.
I'm not giving it a 5.
He's setting us up for the 5.
I just want everybody to understand where my scale comes in. And for me, I put a lot of thought into this because I want to give my honest opinion. For me, it's I've been torn, and to be torn between this minuscule.
I'm dying with anticipation.
Well, he understands how important the Richard
Credit,
scale
I think
is.
what you're saying is you're not going to be the person who docks them below a 7 just for technical issues.
Quit
right?
Geoff splaining.
Yeah, he's almost there.
6.9.
Oh, okay.
You son of a...
Dylan, 6.9. Oh, you weren't doing that
It
quote?
was-
Oh.
Jeff, you gave it a 6.9.
I know.
Dylan,
I know.
you son of
I know.
What would you give Resident Evil 7?
Oh, easily at least a 9. Huh. I
what would you
thoroughly
give-
enjoyed that game.
And just because we know this is kind of a subtopic here for this episode, what would you give Red Dead Redemption 2?
10.
Okay, thank you. It was the best-selling game of 2018.
Jeff hates you for doing that too.
No, there's I missed that podcast. There's so much I can say. I'm not even going to take up this podcast time with that game. So go ahead.
Well, we
Be so funny if you gave it a 6.9.
What would you give it, John?
10.
You can be all over the map.
I want to preface, we show up every week talking about games we did not finish. I understand that's a reality, and I don't fault anybody for not.
For sure.
But for the person who finished this game, who saw every aspect and every story bit and every punch it gave me, and I hope you can believe that I'm not simply punching above my weight simply because of the feedback from you guys. I'm on my second playthrough, third if you think about how long it takes to go from beginning to end of the game.
Yeah.
This game is, to me, the game to beat for Game of the Year. It is a 10 in my book.
Okay.
Hands down. It is already has a spot on my top 5 list.
Well, there you go.
I want to make it clear, in case anybody didn't hear me say it, that I played Leon's story.
Yeah.
I did not play through Claire, or I have not yet to play through Claire's side of things. Please take my score into consideration, or take that into consideration when you hear my score.
Not only do I like Resident Evil 2 better than you, but apparently I like Resident Evil 7 better than you.
Fanboy.
What'd you give it? I can't remember.
9.5.
I guess
See, I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm gonna invite John over to watch me play the game then, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's cool. That's like you got to hear 3 very different
Absolutely.
opinions. Yeah, which is cool. I like when that happens. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes we just S the D of stuff, and then we move on.
I don't think that's true. I think we always give our real opinions.
Some people give a 9 and then don't come back to it because there's a squirrel thing.
No, from when I played, it was a 9. It was good.
I tell you,
Messing with
fun fact.
I don't want to mess right now, Chris.
Fun
will
fact,
come
Jeff. I
across
started
this.
the game. I started the game last night as Claire. From the moment I walked into the police station to when I walked out, 45 minutes.
Wow.
Because I mastered, and that's what's fun about it. And that's what to me keeps you coming back, because there's a lot of rewards embedded in the game to keep you coming back. I was addicted to getting how much backtracking and going into the room like 10 times before I figured out something was. I'd already memorized combination codes and things like that. I already had them in my head because going through it and doing a speed run is fun. And
that's what I was watching on the Twitches.
yeah, I mean, people are doing speed runs of this thing that I'm never going to be able to do. But I remember the first time I left the police station and feeling like I'd been there forever, and the opposing feeling of immediately going in and in 45 minutes I'm done. It was just a crazy feeling of satisfaction.
Give me a piece of advice then, as the three of you.
Get good.
With Anthem coming, possibly Division I'm possibly going to play as well. With those two coming, and that's going to occupy a lot of my time. So, do I play through as Claire and take up that time until those games come? But it probably wouldn't. But just
You can get done with that in a week. I mean, easily.
Or do I now jump into and finish Spider-Man, which I haven't?
Yes.
Finish Spider-Man.
Finish
Spider-Man.
Yeah, finish Spider-Man.
It's amazing.
Finish Spider-Man.
Spider-Man's amazing.
Then you understand.
Hey, dude, Spider-Man's amazing.
Ooh.
From what I've played
Some would
so
say
far,
it's
it wasn't
ultimate or spectacular.
Hey, he's an amazing Spider-Man.
You guys want to do some news?
Sure. Oh, well,
I do.
Okay.
well, I
I
might need a
tap.
good old pitch hitter.
All right. Well, let's do it.
Hot off the press and straight to your ears. Weekly Games Chat presents the news.
Believe it or
So-
not, Sean is still here.
So, do I have to read this with John, or what do you want?
I think you should let Jeff read it with John.
What?
I weren't ready for that one.
Can
were
he
you?
read?
I can try to read. If I need to tap out, I will. How about that?
All right.
You want to go for it? Let's see if your boy can step up to the plate.
Dang it. This
All right.
Thing. Hold on.
I lead off. I'll do the short one, John. You can do the first one.
Okay.
All right.
Do it.
All right.
You got it, buddy.
Titanfall 3 is Apex Legends.
What?
Rumors were rampant that Respawn was working on 2 titles to release this year, Jedi Fallen Order and Titanfall 3. As of Monday, we have learned that Titanfall 3 is not a thing. However, Respawn released a battle royale called Apex Legends that takes place in the Titanfall universe. It takes place 30 years, 20 or 30? Might have got that wrong. 30 years after Titanfall 2, but is not a sequel. The game focuses around the Outlands where characters compete against each other. Quote, our goal for this game and our community is to be very transparent with them. To be completely honest, we know this game has skepticism around it. It's not Titanfall 3. It's a very different game than everyone expected. It's Battle Royale, which for some people is a fad right now. Instead of trying to convince a skeptical audience over a period of time with marketing and interviews, why not just let the game speak for itself? The best antidote for any skepticism is to see and hopefully believe. This strategy may have paid off as Apex Legends drew in 1 million players in less than 8 hours.
That's pretty legit.
I will say, this to me, the statement here rings true in the moment after watching and listening to what seems like a year and a half of Anthem coverage about what is this thing? Is it really going to be good? You know, thinking of we live in a world where people are actually questioning BioWare.
Yeah.
I mean, think about
that's
that.
sad.
Think
BioWare
about
sucks. I'm kidding.
And
I said that earlier.
here's a developer
here.
that comes along and says, we're just going to dump it on you and not subject ourselves to a year's worth or a year and a half's worth of scrutiny that does infinite damage to a game,
Well,
whether justified or not.
Well, think if they had marketed this, right? Well, it's in the Titanfall universe, but it's not. Well, does it have Titans? No, it doesn't. Well, how much is it? It's a free-to-play game. And, I mean, is it still multiplayer? It's a battle royale. Like, everyone would have been like, this is a cash grab. And, you know, there definitely could have been a lot of negative publicity had they decided to build this up. Like if they'd come out, say at, I don't know, even like the VGAs, right? And premiered a trailer there for it. There probably would have been like, versus what they did here, which was very similar to Fortnite Battle Royale when it first released. Just put it out there because it's like, why not? Let people, the market will decide whether it's something viable. And I think it makes sense that they did this because obviously we've kind of said this, like EA is in a place right now because of this Star Wars deal where for the most part, the bigger things, they have to be Star Wars related or they have to have very big financial viability. That's why they're willing to invest on a risk like Anthem is that, you say, if we hit with this can be destiny for us. And then on the other side, you have like 2 years ago when Titanfall 2 came out and just got sandwiched in a terrible place, nothing good really happened for it. You're thinking, well, okay, the studio is primarily making a Star Wars game, but we do have this whole entire world built and we have this fad that's going on that's huge right now. How can we get in on this? That seems like the easiest way to make it happen. Just make a free-to-play game out of it.
I got to admire Respawn's ability to play EA to their own advantage.
Yeah.
Because in a sense, while EA didn't have to do this, Respawn successfully kept swatting EA's hand away from this game. And by keeping them, they've had, the quotes from Respawn developers said they've had very limited influence in it, and I think their leverage was, look, you screwed us on Titanfall 2. You absolutely screwed us. You bent us over, and you screwed us. And I think that's the leverage they had with this title. Going, we really don't want your involvement. We want your support, but we don't want your hand in it. Just let us do this our way, as sort of a reprieve. Because what do you got to lose?
Yeah, right.
You're just going to release Titanfall 3.
You're making us make the Star Wars game. You say you want things that are profitable. What if we do a Battle Royale? And they probably said, yeah, that'd be great. And then they just said, okay, get the hell out.
And I'm just amazed that we just actually believed the fact that they were going to release a Titanfall 3 and a Star Wars game from the same developer in the same year.
I never believed it. There's, as soon as the way it went and they got put on that Star Wars game, I was like, if Titanfall 3 ever happens, it will be years before it ever does. I don't think it will.
Well, news broke after I did the notes that they are actually still working on it.
Still working on it.
I will believe it when I actually see it out there.
Geoff,
because I still haven't seen the Star Wars game. I've just seen a developer talk about it.
You played this game.
I did. I was almost late.
You're a champion of this game.
I was almost late to the podcast today. Your security guard at the front door almost wouldn't let me in. I put a good 2 hours into this game today. And as a player of Battle Royales, I consistently play Fortnite and Blackout and even started with PUBG. This game is worth checking out. I'm not going to tell you it's the greatest thing ever yet because I haven't played that much of it.
You're a champion.
I did get a win. And the coolest thing this game seems to do that I haven't seen in any other previous Battle Royales is it throws in something I've thought would be really cool in something like a Fortnite is it throws in class abilities. You got all these skins in Fortnite that really are nothing more than cosmetic. And I've always thought it'd be really cool if you had, based on what skin you chose to use in game, you had certain abilities that went along with that, where you had pros and cons and you had to take into consideration playing it. This game does that. This game gives you class abilities that you may be the medic, you may be a hunter class, and you can use those abilities to your advantage with your team and the abilities they have. It's very interesting, and it's something worth checking out and see if it's for you.
Is it first person or third?
It's first person.
Yeah, it makes sense. Look, say what you will. Those dudes made Modern Warfare. Never forget that. Those dudes know how to make a game that feels good as a shooter. They always will. So,
Titanfall 2 was the best rated shooter of
I love
2016.
That game was a blast to play. Yeah. It hurt me that no one really gave it a shot, and it was understandable. I understood why not, Sean, you, all them, because everyone was like, well, how am I going to play that when literally Modern Warfare 3 was coming, or 4, whatever it was, and then at the same time Battlefield 1, which was really the big shooter of the fall.
Well, I want to point out that I too love Titanfall 2.
Yeah,
the campaign that is. I'm known as a campaign player amongst our group. I always do that before the multiplayer.
It's a blast.
I've never really understood why it caught such slack, because that game, the campaign was really good.
It was because of Titanfall 1 that it caught slack.
Nobody gave it slack. They just put it in. They just sent it out to die.
Yeah, they put it in a really bad spot.
If that game came out of April the following year, I think it would have blown up. I think it would have done great.
Maybe. Who knows?
Maybe. I'm not saying like Grace all the time.
Respawn did everything that was expected of them for, correcting the mistakes of the first one. They knocked it out of the park, and they had no support from EA. None.
You know who did get a lot of support?
Kingdom Hearts 3.
Well, yeah, they also sold big, guys. Yeah, that game's out. We might talk about it next week.
I forgot you were reading. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all good, man. Don't worry about me. I'm just here, John.
Well,
I drug myself in here. Took myself like a shot like the ball players do at halftime.
Yeah. In the butt?
Maybe. Since its launch on January 29th, Kingdom Hearts 3 has shipped 5 million copies. This number includes both digital and phygital. This makes the fastest selling Kingdom Hearts game in the history of the franchise. So that's pretty legit.
Now, they didn't say shipped, though. Like, that's the big thing. I noticed today it says shipped, which basically means that's what they send to stores. It's not.
But half of that, though, you can't ship a digital title.
Sure.
So when that includes both, I would say it's probably in people's hands, 3.5 million.
Yeah. The thing is that they had confidence to ship that much. Yeah. That's usually what it means with your first batch. So I'm sure it will end up selling 5 million. Which makes sense, because there's a lot of people waiting for this for a long time.
Yeah, this very show is probably going to do our best to cover it next week.
I plan.
Sans John. Do I read the next one too?
No, man.
Oh, good. You got it?
You get it? You want to get it?
But he's still playing Resident Evil.
Yeah, that apparently did good too, huh, John?
It did good. It did good. In the first week of release, Resident Evil 2 has sold 3 million units. This is impressive considering it is a remake of a 20-year-old game, a survival horror game for that matter. Capcom is hoping to match or exceed the success of Resident Evil 7, which sold 6 million units.
Do we know how many it sold yet? At the time of this, you didn't probably.
I think I think maybe it's sitting at 4 at this point.
That's pretty good. Mm-hmm.
But it's ironic to me when everybody talks about the success of Resident Evil 7 and this game, which is obviously true, and how they're riding the ship. But it's ironic that Resident Evil 6, probably the most hated game in the series, sold twice what Resident Evil 7
that's
sold.
because Resident Evil 5 was so great. Yeah. And just beloved. That's what happens.
It was beloved in the community, but hated in the people are.
No, I don't know with that. I just know it's a highly praised game that sold very well. And then on top of that, you had 6 come out. 6 was like a letdown.
You don't remember the controversy of Resident Evil 5?
Controversy.
And how it was panned in the industry because it took place and seemed to categorize a race of people as zombies.
Oh, no, I didn't know that.
You didn't
I did not play that one.
That's why.
Yeah.
So
I just remember
he's dismissing all your facts as he didn't play it. John, what just happened.
Okay.
Even though they're real.
I will say, I do hope, I understand Capcom's plan and it's done for money. And they seem to be like, hey, look, we're going to keep doing these remakes because we don't have to worry about rewriting a story or anything. But it would be nice now, hey, you made a great remake. You made a great original game. Let's make another original game, and then we can come back and do another remake and kind of do this thing where we have a way to build on things that aren't as intensive for development wise for you because you have certain blocks already done while also pushing the genre forward.
I can tell you that the community who loves Resident Evil wants Resident Evil 3 Nemesis.
I'm sure they do.
They want
it. It's
and they're definitely going to give that to us before they give us a Resident Evil 8.
Yeah. Probably. Yeah.
Put money on it.
Well, we got an idea of what Capcom's doing, obviously. Like you just said that, Chris. So
yeah, they're just trying to survive.
We weren't sure what Sony's doing, especially since they announced that, they weren't going to be at E3.
Are they moving?
Well, we kind of got an idea what they're doing now. Sony is seemingly having its first-party properties focus on the PlayStation 5, which makes me happy. Daniel Ahmad, industry analyst, explained that, quote, in general, most of the focus for Sony is on PS5 right now. John, I'm going to need you to go ahead and keep talking.
It's still early to talk. about next gen, but I imagine we'll hear some whispers coming out of GDC, end quote. He went on to explain the dev kits for PS5 are out in the wild and people are saying positive things. To me, this is all coming together with the announcement of no E3. It's all coming together with
for 2020.
Having nothing to say about games coming out. I think I'm gonna, this might be bold, but I'm going to say all the games that they announced at E3 last year aren't coming to PS4. At least exclusively.
I think they're going to be cross generational. Yeah. They'll do exactly like they did with the end of PS3, right? We saw it with Last of Us, and a couple of other titles where it's like, hey, here it is on PS4 or PS3, and then like as soon as it came out, it's like, and here's the remastered edition. Because
no, I think it's all waiting.
No,
I think it's all waiting for the console to show up, and then they'll release them cross platform.
I don't know. That'd be pretty big for them to say we're not releasing any big games after Days Gone.
I'm just saying,
I guess Dreams would be maybe the only other.
I think Dreams is a waste of space, and it'll come out on PS4. I think they're just going to get that out as soon as it's done. But
yeah, they have to.
To me, it's an amalgamation of everything we've seen over the past year. They're not showing up at E3 because they're preserving the integrity of their vision and all this stuff. They ain't got nothing to show us.
No, yeah, and I don't
There's
think
nothing to show. They're not going to show up and give us every game they worked on last year with a new trailer.
Yeah, I don't think they want to go for the third time with The Last of Us 2. They would just want to put that game out when it's ready.
And they've only recently hired mocap actors for this game, for Last of Us 2.
Yeah, maybe
it's not coming.
I don't know.
Not coming.
I definitely think it's coming in 2020. When it comes in 2020, that's a different story. Like, I definitely will not be surprised. Like, that game releases in June of next year, and then hey, November 1st of release day, here's the PS5 version if you want it too. It's not surprising though, because there was the poll that just came out recently that said like pretty much 18% I think of developers are working on next gen games.
Yeah.
Now, so you're saying like, okay, 1 in 5 is doing that. That's probably every major studio that is a first party person. If you're not working on something that is designed specifically for PS4, if you're like, for instance, like Santa Monica, who's making the sequel for God of War, that's going to be a PS5 game. No one's lying to themselves with that. So, that's what they're working on. I'm guessing Horizon Zero Dawn sequel will be a PS5 game.
Aww.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of PS4 and PS5, backward compatibility will probably be a thing. A new patent seemingly indicates that the PS5 could include backward compatibility for previous PlayStation iterations. Fans are very excited about this, as it has been frustrating for PS fans who have never been able to carry over their content between consoles. The principal purpose of the patent, according to Mark Cerny, dumb guy, quote, is developing optimized cross-platform maths, animations, and geometry libraries for PlayStation 3, Vita, and PlayStation 4 platforms. So that would be great, and
that's the hard thing.
He should get a Nobel Prize for science if he figures out a way to successfully.
I thought you should have gotten one for knack. Look, I think Microsoft kind of changed it all, because the way they rolled out backwards compatibility in a way that was such a cool benefit to everyone, versus like when PS3 did the exact same thing back with the original release of the system. That just felt like, well, that's there, and people were like, oh, cool, whatever. Like, versus now where you're like, hey, this is coming to backwards compatibility this month. I think that's the expectation going forward. I'll be really interested to see if Nintendo follows suit here at some point whenever they decide to move on from Switch.
Nintendo.
Do I do this one?
If you want to, you may.
Speaking of revenue? I don't know. PSN revenue. The PlayStation Network has generated over $12.5 billion. That's with a B of revenue in 2018. This makes Sony's network service a bigger earner than Microsoft's gaming division and all of Nintendo's. That doesn't surprise me at all. How much of that you think was fueled just by Fortnite? Maybe $1 billion? I'm going to guess.
I bet.
Yeah, I have to imagine that was the biggest one.
I didn't include this in the news necessarily, but it's ironic that it made a record $12.5 billion.
Yeah.
But their stock took a dip.
Well, that's because they got other issues. right? I mean,
Well,
they're not just Sony, the PlayStation makers. They're Sony, the TV makers, the stereo makers, all that stuff. So,
but that's always been the case.
yeah. But
They've always struggled
but they're
like
more. I think now they understand how much more is determined. Like if PlayStation ever went down, right? How long would you give Sony as a company? That's the versus like if, as much as I love Xbox, if Xbox failed tomorrow, Microsoft would just keep on clicking. It'd be like, well, that was the Zune.
So maybe they should invest more in mobile.
Speaking of mobile,
Mario on mobile. Mario Kart Tour, unfortunately, has been delayed to the summer of 2019. According to Nintendo, the delay is due to, quote, in order to improve quality of the application and expand the content offerings after launch, end quote. On the bright side, Nintendo has announced a new mobile game that will likely compete for the audiences who dive into Candy Crush and Toon Blast. Dr. Mario World is headed to mobile devices this summer in Japan and the US. Dr. Mario World seems like the best fit for a Nintendo property so far on mobile. Sean, are you all right, man?
Yeah. It's not a good idea to try to read the news when your throw out long box don't want to work.
We got you.
I appreciate it. It's a good tag team.
As soon
Back
as
again.
I have to say, as soon as I saw this, it's like this. I'm surprised this didn't happen sooner.
Absolutely.
Because it just makes sense. Like this, whether you're talking about this or like Tetris or whatever, it's made for mobile. It's the most mobile ready thing ever because it's basically what you played when you had a Game Boy. You just use your thumb on a direct screen as opposed to having buttons.
It's funny. I've been playing Dr. Mario on my Nintendo Online subscription provided to me by my good friend John.
There you go.
Yeah,
Forgot about that.
Yeah, it's dope. I didn't forget about it. I'm getting something for Christmas this year.
I mean, does that make sense, though? I mean, when I thought about this, I'm like, well, that's an obvious competition for at least Toon Blast, stuff like that.
Yeah.
All that puzzle-based stuff. I think it's brilliant.
It is. Did it say how much it is?
It did not. We didn't report how much it is, but I didn't see anything.
I don't.
You know who did report it, though?
Who's that?
Nintendo.
What they report?
They reported their sales figures. Nintendo Switch sold through 32 million consoles since its launch on March 3rd, 2017. In addition, software sales have reached 163.61 million units. 0.61. According to ZX, Huge X, I guess, is that when you compare the Switch to other consoles for the first 36 months of release, the Switch is tracking above the PS4 and in line with the Wii. Here are the top-selling Switch games: Mario Kart 8, which has sold 15 million, Super Mario Odyssey at 13 million, Super Smash Bros. At 12 million, and Breath of the Wild at 11 million.
Dude, you're an analyst.
Dude.
And you're rounding.
I'm just going by because it's.
How about 13.76 is not 13?
Do you want me to round it to 14?
I mean, that would
Does
be
it
the
make
fair,
you feel better?
That'd be the fair thing to do.
That would have been what he should have done. First off, you only use one decimal place, sir. In addition, since its launch in September, Nintendo Online has gained over 8 million subscribers, not including free trials. That number can largely be contributed to the successful run of Smash. That makes sense. Yeah, they did. I did see they finally adjusted their sales figure though, right? They said because remember they said they were going to sell 20 million. They went down to 17 million.
I think that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, because they said they don't have a game this first half. Or before March, right? That they felt was going to sell a bunch of consoles. But regardless, that's cool. That's definitely successful. They will be around forever.
Well, there's updates on the Mario movie.
Oh,
and I almost left it off.
Did you?
But every time I do leave it off,
I didn't see this. So hey.
Nintendo has announced that the Mario movie is in development and slated for release in 2022. That's it. No other details. Sure, it will be fine. Sounds like it will come out sooner than Metroid Prime 4.
Please let them release the same day.
I know what I'm doing.
Are you getting achievements?
That's the rumor.
No, you know, it is Nintendo Switch. Oh,
This is not
I
working,
know.
guys.
I
It
know.
has not worked for a year. We should just stop.
No, we will never give it up. Microsoft is bringing Xbox Live cross-platform support to Nintendo Switch, iOS, and Android devices. This announcement was hinted at from the conference schedule details for GDC 2019. That's the Game Developers Conference. The description read, Xbox Live is about to get much bigger. Xbox Live is expanding from 400 million gaming devices and a reach of over 60 million active players to over 2 billion devices with the release of our new cross-platform XDK. Get a first look at the SDK to enable game developers to connect players between iOS, Android, Switch, in addition to Xbox and any game in the Microsoft Store or Windows PC. So for those who are wondering, like, wait, what does this mean? Does this mean I can play my Xbox games on my Switch now? Or like I get achievements for what I'm playing for and Switch through Xbox now? No, doesn't mean that. What it means is kind of similar where, say, Geoff is on his PC and he's playing a game right now. I can be, if he's signed into his Xbox on PC or his Windows gaming profile there, I can literally see that Geoff is online, like playing World of Warcraft. I see it all the time with a friend of the show, Josh. So that would kind of be the same idea here. Like you'd have that connectivity. Like I could see, hey, Sean is on his Switch right now and he's playing Mario Kart. Or Geoff apparently must be pooping because he's playing threes on his phone. You know, all those kinds of things. Poop games or, you know, return the poop game. So that is really cool though. Like, you know, who knows if it sets something up further down the line, but just being able to say, hey, regardless, if you're playing a game and you have an Xbox account, you could load it up on any of these things and people would be able to see exactly what you're doing and maybe hit you up with a text and say, hey, is that pretty cool? Right?
Yeah.
Sean would like to comment, but he's just standing like, I'm dying. Donnie.
Worst.
This is it, right? This is the last, right?
Yep.
So I should say finally this week.
This is it.
Please. Huey Lewis in the
Thank
news?
you guys.
Yeah.
I
Finally
get it.
this week.
Huey Lewis and the news.
Finally.
See,
This.
we're talking about news. We're just going to just do this.
Finally this
Well,
week.
in honor of Sean,
Just run it over, huh? FML, dude.
in honor of Sean,
Yeah.
Xbox is coming in hot
Yeah.
at E3. Phil Spencer recently spoke of the scope of Xbox involvement at E3 in the absence of Sony. Quote, Microsoft will be as big as we've ever seen. This is going to be a fun E3 for us. There was some news about E3 in the fall, and in that he's talking about the fact that Sony's not going to E3.
Yeah.
We had a discussion internally. Should we go big? Should we save some money? We decided no, we're going to do our thing and we're going to go and be as big at E3 as we've ever been. And I love that opportunity. I can just picture them taking all the real estate space on the convention floor that Sony had and just buying it all up.
A lot of green.
I see what you did there. Because like money and Xbox, yeah.
I mean, I've said this before. I think going big at E3 and embracing E3 is right for Xbox, and not going to E3 for Sony is right for Sony.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about it. I don't think Sony's
I will say,
going to gain anything from re-announcing games that they showed last year.
I think it's like a little bit of marketing
Sean's
speed.
struggling.
I think like it's good marketing speech, but that's what it is, right? Like I expect that he's going to, when he says they're going big, they're like, look, yeah, we're going to come out here and we're going to show Halo and we're going to do a huge thing for that. We're going to have a huge, I would be very surprised if there is not a live demo of Gears of War 5.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
that there'll probably be a reveal date, right?
Yeah.
I'm sure they're going to premiere their new Forza game. And who knows? Maybe they do come up and say, like, by the way, here's the first teaser for the new Fable game that we're working on, if that's what they're doing. Or here's like another little small tease on Xbox Project Scarlet, something like that. So
Plus,
they
with
have
double
the ability.
with double the space on the floor, they're going to have signs up going, "No lines, no waiting."
Well, remember, they're not even on the game floor. They don't. Yeah.
They don't go onto the game floor.
Yeah.
Oh, they have their own. They have their own
the
space.
Xbox experience,
That's
whatever
right.
it's called. So,
I'm dumb,
hey, Sean.
but I think they're going to announce their console this year.
What?
I I mean, well, they've already technically announced it.
They're going to show it, is what I'm saying. And I think it's going to release this fall.
I don't think that at all.
They have nothing to lose.
They've already, I mean, well, they had the rumors that came out last summer basically saying it's coming 2020. Now, I would not be surprised if you're right, like that they're going to try to beat PlayStation and it will come out in March. Or like June or something, but they're not going to show that thing until they're confident in every little thing about it.
Oh, that's funny.
But you guys want to wrap this up?
Never.
Thank you for
Sean,
that.
you might want to wrap it up.
Yeah.
I think
man.
you've learned.
No, man. I think I'm turning into a zombie or something, dude. This is weird.
Pop him in the head
But when again?
5 times.
Huh?
When you pop them in the head,
I don't understand.
say what you usually say.
What does that mean?
When we end this segment,
Never.
on
Electronic
mail
from the future.
Email here. Get your email.
You've got mail.
we don't have mail.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Normally
That's okay.
you can write those thoughts and opinions into weeklygameschat@gmail.com. Sean, do you need me to try to do this for you?
I'm gonna give it a go, man. Let's just.
Do you
see
want
what
me to read the messages? That's all
I
we
got
have
him.
to.
I got him, bro. I'm feeling good right now. I'm feeling hot. But look, I'll tag you in like I tag John if I need to. Okay.
Okay.
So this we're gonna go direct messages first. They're known as DMs in the cool world. At Mike Wiley 77, he says, "Hey fellas,
Hey.
hi, how you doing? Not sure if you've played it before, but I think it would be awesome to hear you guys talk about the game, The Forest.
Oh, yeah.
It's out on
That would be
PS4
fun.
now, and me and my friends have been having an absolute blast with it. I'm sure if the three of you played together, you'd have quite the adventures.
Yeah.
Love you guys and the podcast. We love you, sir. Thank you for that.
Can I say something about The Forest?
Yeah.
Our old roommate Ryan told me about that game
Yeah.
in 2012. And when they finally released it, I didn't notice until 3 weeks later. It's just sitting there on the PlayStation Store.
You know what game I'm about to get on the PC that you really probably are going to want to play that's in early access?
What?
You probably saw it. It was everywhere this week. Prayer for the Gods. It's finally out.
Is
in
that like
early
the
access.
Shadow of the Colossus thing?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that looks dope.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna.
I like that game too, Chris. Thanks.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry about it. Another DM at Nat_the_Gooner. He's a big Arsenal fan, so this is going to tie into that. He says, "Hello, lads. Hello, lad. I know you'll be discussing the Super Bowl in this week's pod. We did. It was a dud, but I still watched it. Could you spare a moment to share your opinion on the Rams owner, Stan Kroenke? He's now the full owner of Arsenal FC 2, and a lot of fans over here are against him. What's the opinion of him stateside? Thanks, Nat. I'll start off by saying, who?
Right? I have no idea.
Yeah, we don't pay attention to the owners, and I believe maybe in your part of the world with soccer, the only one we really know is like Jerry Jones.
Look, no. The only thing you'd ever have to worry about in soccer is if you see the words Daniel Snyder has
Yeah, or
purchased
Daniel Snyder,
something,
exactly.
then you should run for the hills for whatever team you root. There was did you get this one too?
Which one?
Because I just noticed that.
Teach, you may have already read it and messed me up. That's why you don't need to do that.
I didn't. I just now pulled it up because all the messages were gone.
That's funny. Hey, Sean, Zan. What's hilarious
Not
is you
one.
still didn't get it right, but it's awesome that you did all that, so I appreciate it.
Shan's about the closest he came.
I'm anticipating your episode about Kingdom Hearts See, because that's a 3. And
Yeah.
that's great. I actually like that a lot. And I have 2 questions I was hoping could be answered. One, does the dialogue sometimes seem awkward? Like they say something and then there is this awkward pause where it sounds like there is a missing laugh track or something. No, just me? Cool. It's really bugging me. Chris, you started playing. You mentioned something early about that. We'll get onto it next week probably, right? About the dialogue being a little whack. But that was compared to more like Red Dead dialogue.
Oh, you talking about? No.
Are you here, Chris?
Okay, I wasn't sure if he was referring directly to Kingdom Hearts or the podcast. I was like, I hope that's not the case. But yeah, he is right. Like, there's some parts like where it feels like something almost from the PS2 era.
Gotcha.
Like the way they talk versus like, Red Dead where they have these wonderful freaking Assassin's Creed or, any of those kind of games.
Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, we're going to probably get into that a little bit more when we play the game. and talk about it. 2, I haven't played the previous games and tried watching a video of story stuff. Same here. I should know. And it was so convoluted. I agree. There's a couple of them on YouTube where they try to give you the 30-minute rundowns, and they claim their video is the easiest to follow. And then 10 minutes into that video, they're showing like charts with like past times and future times and Ridgemont High and all this stuff. But
Yeah.
it is convoluted, and that's part of jumping into a game like this, you know, on the third iteration. You think it's just Kingdom Hearts 3, but there are so many other Kingdom Hearts games. I think there's like a total of 9 out there right now.
Dream
12.
Drop Distance.
There were some.
That's my
12, I
favorite
think.
title. Dream Drop
There were
Distance.
some PSP titles. I mean, it was crazy, and all of them tie in together. Believe it or not, so it's cool they did that. But in the classic way of Square, nothing's ever titled easy. Everything's just it's almost like we're dumb
It's just this dude,
Yeah.
this producer. He's kind of like in his own little world.
because he's super smart, probably. And
He's
we're
the guy
just
who,
dumb.
He did something else too, and people are like, maybe this guy just needs to design games and not do the actual plots.
Does he need to
and things.
chillax a little bit, Chris?
Maybe.
So, could you provide what you found as the best way to bring someone up to speed, or maybe just cover it in the show? It would be much appreciated. I think I'll let you go too, Chris. I mean, obviously I will because you have a microphone.
Ooh.
I think the best way is going to be the YouTube route. Try to find a video that just makes sense to you. Or if you don't want to play this game right now, go play all the other games, then come back to this game.
You can't even play one of them anymore because it's a web browser game. And it's getting closed down in 2016.
Oh, so that sucks.
I would say the best way I could offer, Polygon actually has a really good written primer that's out there that kind of highlights the true main things you really do need to know. And then when you get into the game, there is a section called Memories on the main menu. Go down to there. There's 6 of them. And you can just hit play all. And while it doesn't like give you a beat for beat breakdown of the total story, it's more of like, here are the people and certain themes that are important to them that you need to know going into this one. You don't need to know every little detail that's happened in this universe. You just need to know, mainly I think it's like for this one, primarily 4 people you need to know outside of Sora himself, what their stories are and who they're tied to, and just understand that the big bald dude is the main
He's
bad
got
of
yellow
the game.
eyes and he's the
Yeah.
bad guy.
It's like
And there's
Xenomorph
there's a big room with a bunch of other people who wear hoods. They're bad too. Okay.
Yeah, apparently, and they're all apparently versions of him.
Yeah. So just know that you're good to go. Going back to actual stuff people put out about us at Platinum. Let me make sure I say his Twitter name at Platinum Twitch. He's a streamer. Got a great show. But he put this is the podcast that and he had copied and replied, or I guess forwarded one of our things when Chris said we're on Spotify now. That's right. If you missed that one, we are on Spotify, and as Chris said, for your listening pleasure. So if you find that route to be easier for you, Spotify.
Thanks for stealing my thunder.
But he said, this is the podcast I'm always talking about on stream. Do yourself a favor and check it out. During this show, I was getting caught up and getting ready. I said, thanks, good sir. And it was very cool because during the show, Platinum Everything replied back and said, of course, that I had a subscriber on my channel say they came from the podcast. So we love to hear that. Go support our people who have things going on. And again, thanks for everyone who supports us and everything we do. Let me scroll down to see if there's anything else before my voice completely goes out and I'm in the bathroom hurling again. It wasn't really hurling. It's just, we're not going to get all into it. I'm sorry. At David _McClendon, the homie, at Weekly Games Chat, please, for the love of all that is good, holy, and thuggish, please end every show with a Southern Bumpkin version of, quote, Game On.
Yeah, I saw that.
Like the last episode. You'll make my country Mississippi roots heart happy. We will try our best to do it. I don't remember us doing it, but maybe we just did because we're that country. I don't know.
Sometimes it slips. See?
And this was funny. Did we cover this last week? It was the guy who said he wanted to email on the show, or did you just tell us about that, Chris?
Say that one more time.
It's fine.
I was reading
I
something
know.
on
It's,
Facebook.
I'm just going to say it, and you can tell me if we've already talked about it. At Magic Numberia, or Numberla, had tweeted us at Weekly Games Chat. I want to email into the show, but I haven't been going through it sometimes. I just like the show. Am I allowed to write in? It was funny.
That was during the week, and I think I replied back to him. What I replied is that
Chris hopped on the Twitter and he says, "We prefer you to go through a life change first, but since you asked nicely, we'll make an exception this time." And then there was a picture of I think it's George Bush on a gunship. Maybe.
Oh yeah, mission accomplished.
He's giving a thumbs up and it says mission accomplished. So that was actually really funny. That was probably the furthest back of anything that I see that.
There was a snow eclipse, and one of our dudes said like about to start listening to the show, and
I think I see it. Okay.
Yeah.
So at Gaming Mud said, "What's up, guys?
What's up?
What up?
It's my name is Mud. It's been a while.
Mud.
It's been a while for sure. So yeah, if I remember that name, they made a new name for their Twitch streaming. It would be awesome if we give a shout out for the show, link in bio. So if you want to go follow at Gaming Mud, apparently they're Twitch streaming now. Hop on, say hello, and say you came from us. At the Claw Voice, which is kind of like what my voice sounds like right now. They just got done last week listening to that show and wanted to let us know that Amazon does do trade-ins.
Oh yeah.
So apparently,
that's good to know.
Yeah.
So what store can I walk into and do a trade-in?
You walk into, they ship you a box.
What's in the box? I think that's it.
That's it.
Yeah.
The negative 14 dude wasn't?
I don't see a negative 14
well,
dude.
okay. There was one listener who.
At Big Riff. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm here on Hoth, starting up this week's episode. It's effing miserable here, and I'd much rather be in your mom's box. And so there's a screenshot of, I guess it's where they're at.
No. He put that there, so I replied back to him with Luke on his tauntaun.
No. He sent the picture.
Oh yeah, he did send that from Minneapolis.
Of the Minneapolis area, where at 3 a.m. it was negative 28, and at 7 a.m. it was negative 25, and then of course with wind factored in, it feels like negative 51.
Dear God.
So I can't even imagine that. Another person I think I had mentioned because last week, remember the cold was coming in, if your eyelashes can freeze together, and at S10 driving Kelly said, yes, your eyelashes can freeze together in that cold of weather. He's had it happen, or they've had it happen, while riding a bike. And God. It's not fun to try and stop moving while your eyes are frozen shut.
Well, don't ride a bike.
Oh my, yeah. When it's that cold, why are you riding a bike? Now we're going back into other stuff that I did last week. Let me check our new followers, if we have any. I'm just making, assumptions here. Oh, we do. At Gaming Mud, that was the one I told you about. Thank you for the following you back. At Game Land Esports 1. That's a pretty cool name because it's talking about games and land and sports.
Yeah.
Thank you for the following you back. At Mr. _Magian.
Amazing.
I think I said that wrong, but it's a cool name. Thank you for the following you back. At Revan617. I love this. So, I do this from time to time, and you talk about what people are describing themselves on Twitch as. And at Revan617 said he's just whooping A and chewing bubble gum. That's awesome. And finally, for our new follower at Rob Nasty, thank you so much for the following you back. And Chris will tell you if you guys want to get in the conversation on Twitter and other places, how to do it. Thanks again.
We did have two messages I wanted to shout out on Facebook here. One was from Noisy Cricket, who, when I posted the graphic, said, looking forward to this one. Always great show, guys. And then Clay wrote in and said, I don't play horror games, but still look forward to hear what your opinions are. By the way, I finished the story and working on a platinum for Spider-Man. What game should I play next? Horizon Zero Dawn or Breath of the Wild? To which I replied, don't be a Sean. Play Horizon Dawn.
Zero Dawn.
Yeah. Whatever.
I'd say Breath of the Wild.
No. Plus, he can get that one done faster, right? It's only 35 hours to really beat.
Yeah, that's true.
Horizon.
Yeah.
That's all it takes.
Yeah, like really beat
I could have already beat this game.
You could have.
It's not as long as Zelda.
Unless you would not go 90 to 100 hours unless you just wanted to go hunt robots.
I got to play this game, Sean. It's my most anticipated.
I was telling a friend of mine at work about you today.
Were you?
Oh,
I talked about you at work, too.
Yeah?
Yeah.
It wasn't good.
It
was good enough.
But yours was all. I don't ever talk bad about you except for today.
That's BS.
Thanks, Chris.
So, this has been episode 190 of Weekly Games Chat. If you like the show, subscribe to us on iTunes or YouTube or even now Spotify by request. See, if you guys ask me things, I try to get them done for you if they're possible.
Lies.
That literally took 2 seconds. Like when he said, "Can you guys be on Spotify?" I was like, literally, there's a plugin for Libsyn to get your podcast on Spotify.
I don't know what that means, Chris.
They'll never know.
I like a good plug-in.
But anyways, if while you're there, wherever you're subscribing, hopefully now on Spotify, if you want to, make sure you drop us a rating. Or
is it time for this week? You can do all the numbers if you want.
Yeah, I don't want to do that to you. Your voice is bad.
I just say double it at the end. I just get irritated when you're talking about subtract 1 and add 2 and do all this.
Make sure you give us a rating. If you usually it's 5 stars for the top rating, but if you don't like the show, subtract 1, divide that score in half, and then do what?
Double it.
There you go.
Came in hot.
As always, even though we didn't get any emails this week, you can write your emails to weeklygameschat@gmail.com. You can write in this week. I mean, you got a bunch of stuff here. You got 3 people that had very diverse opinions about this week's topic. So maybe write in and tell us who you think was right and who's a freaking idiot.
Did you watch the Super Bowl? Did you watch the Super Bowl? Was it fun to you? Did you like a commercial that we did?
I'm sure if Mikey's listening, he's like, it was fun to me.
Yeah.
Old Brady fan.
GOAT.
Right? Yeah. He now has enough rings to make a freaking Infinity Gauntlet, so that's scary.
See, John, a GOAT is... Bye.
But until next time, Geoff, thank you for coming on the show again.
Top notch, Geoff. Thank you so much, man.
Thanks for having me again.
If there's any other games you want to trash,
You're never coming back.
Yeah. If you have anything else you want to trash, you let us know and I'll invite you back unless it's something I like.
Geoff, I gotta say, greatest moment of my adult life was the night of the Spider-Man release. Not at GameStop per se, but sharing a beer with you.
Yeah.
John drank a beer?
That is the night I officially became a man.
One time.
I officially became a man. It's because of you.
I gotta go home.
Oh, and Chris was there.
I got a question about a beer.
He
Geoff.
showed up.
Did you go home and open up your shirt and there was one hair sprouting out?
So I watch soccer, and a lot of times along the little banner around the field, they're running advertisements. And I don't know if this is just a beer based in England per se, because I'm watching the English Premier League.
Ooh.
And it's Carlsberg beer. And it says probably the world's greatest beer. It's got a hilarious tagline like that. Have you ever had Carlsberg?
Think so?
I don't think I have. I'd have to see the logo.
All right. I just, for whatever that just clicked, and I've been wanting to ask you
Let's
that
put
for
it
a
this
while.
way. I've definitely seen the brand name.
Carlsberg?
Yeah.
I want to have a Carlsberg beer. It's probably the greatest beer in the world.
We got to find out.
Oh,
right?
and I learned that night that I can tolerate IPAs as long as they're really, really cold.
Yeah, I was proud of you, by the way.
Yeah.
You made him drink an IPA that night?
I didn't make him.
I kind of enjoyed
He said
it.
whatever he's having.
Would you have a Guinness?
I think we had Terrapin, right?
Probably.
Yeah, I think it was like a Hopscutioner or something.
Do our friends down at Not a Banana? What's the name of that?
Omaha.
Do they got a new brew?
they
came
got
out recently?
tons of new
Yeah,
beers.
they're always experimenting.
Yeah.
Okay.
They make the official beer for all the Auburn fans there during
the
football season.
Auburn.
It's like the orange and blue.
Sean wants to go back and have a beer and get drunk.
There you
Just
go.
have, what was that thing? What was that thing I drank called? That cup. It was like a special cup.
It's kind of water.
No, it's got a.
It wasn't Das Boot, was
No, it was a cup that's called something. You know, it's not like a pint or a stein. It's called something.
It was like the sampler.
But what's that called? Y'all kept saying the name of it.
it? Tiny glass?
No, you're trying to make.
Flight?
No. Well, as soon as this
Half
ends, you're going to be like, it was that thing.
A
I'll be
Nonic?
like,
Wasn't a Nonic.
Shot
no,
glass?
no, it was down at the thing for their little celebration.
He doesn't feel good.
Crowler?
Yes, that's the
Crowler.
word.
Crowler, okay.
Yes.
All right.
The Crowler.
Yeah. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
For having a memory.
I mean, like, I'm like trying to think of all the things that
All
you'd
the
be
beer
able to
words?
drink-
Yeah.
that you could drink out there. I'm like, it's not many.
It's not
Your hand.
It's not growler. It's a crowler.
Well, a growler is when it's a type of bottle. A crowler is basically when they take the beer, pour it in, and they kind of can it for
Yeah.
you. Like, so it looks like a huge tall boy.
Okay,
Pretty much like a
Otis.
32 ounce can.
He's got knowledge on the beers.
I would love to come and be part of a beer episode. I think
Ooh.
well, let's
fun
make
with that.
let's make it
There
happen
was
next
someone.
week.
There was someone who messaged us somewhere. It might have been on Twitter who said, like, "Can you guys please make this a drunk episode?" I was like, Child, you do not ask
If
or
we
know
do-
what you ask.
Here's what we need to start doing on drunk episodes. I wanted to toss this up. You know how we do things. On when we do spoiler cast,
Yeah.
we should drink a little bit on those.
You know what we could do? There's an episode we're doing that we're going to have to do in a couple of weeks, not on a Tuesday night because I won't be here. Yeah, I'll be at a concert with the folks. But it's in March, so
It's like
we
how
got
he drops those nuggets on us, right?
Yeah, but I wonder. I'd have to look at the schedule, but maybe we can
You didn't say it right.
schedule.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Maybe if I look at that and I can get the guys, we can come over on Saturday and do that, like where we just all get here. Maybe we'll do it for the 200th episode.
Maybe we get one of those little portable ones and we go sit down at the CBC one time and drink some beer and do a live cast kind of. But it's going to be, uploaded. Who knows? We're just tossing ideas out, spitballing, if you will.
True.
Don't spitball.
I'm sorry.
Wait till next week.
We'll try to figure something out.
Yeah.
But until next time, I will simply say, game on, Sean.
Game on, Chris.
Game on, John.
Jeff's proud of me. Game on, everybody.
Game on, John. Since he don't want to say our names, say it, Jeff.
Game on, John.
Whoa, you're sick already.
Game on, Sean.
Game on, Jeff.
Chris.
Game on, Jeff. Your mom's box.
Peace out, everybody.
Squeeze it on my money.
Yeah.
It's weird. He has a tagline.